Alright, so...
How'd you feel about the movie, not that one scene?
about the movie?
So we all knew how you feel about the scene.
Yeah.
Tell me how you thought about the movie.
My reaction to Gerald's on. Holy Jesus.
We were both covering our faces, you and me.
And I was crying.
You were crying.
I was crying. You were covering your
Yeah,
faces.
what I thought about the movie? I liked it.
I
Yeah, I liked it.
Deadpool wasn't in it.
Yeah.
You wore the
That
t-shirt.
upsets me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
What, did you expect Deadpool to be in it?
Yeah.
I did.
I guess what we're going to talk about, first of all, before we get into actually talking about the movies,
What do you have in this paper here?
it's just my notes.
What do you have in the paper?
No.
Give me your notes. Were you taking those notes in the theater?
No, I wrote these down last night. Because yes, I saw the movie twice.
3
For anyone
times.
watching, no, twice.
You were like, I've already seen this movie. I'm like, why do I even come to
nerd.
these with you?
Well, no, okay. I thought first of all, before I get into any opinions, I'm going to say that I thought it was definitely good.
At one
enough
point, you
to
mentioned the
warrant
comics, and I turned to you and go, "You nerd."
Yeah, exactly. And I guess we might as well get out our a brief history of our thoughts
Get out our
on
bullshit.
Spider-Man in general.
Spider-Man sucks. He's the worst supervillain.
Yeah, exactly. We are actually joined by Anthony here, who is our very close friend.
He was gonna be
might-
joined by a cell phone, but he hasn't left yet.
Right, you might recognize him from our Persona
Which
4
makes it
video,
sound
which
professional,
actually, you know what,
ESPN.
come to think of it, probably will not be uploaded yet, so this is probably going to be your first introduction.
Quiet.
I gotta say, I had a really good time seeing this movie so far. It was good, and I want to say I definitely do want to see it again and again and again. I've already seen it twice. But I want to know what your guys' opinions on the previous
focus.
Spider-Man movies, just so we can get like a history about it. I'm going to assume you've all seen the other Spider-Man movies, right?
I like them all.
And for some reason, Amazing Spider-Man, like before this, is blurry. I was trying to find it, but I couldn't find
Okay.
it in time to watch it. So.
Have you seen it before?
I have seen it. Yes.
Okay, good.
Everything's
So
all
you just haven't had a
really
chance to
blurry.
refresh.
Yeah,
your
so
memory.
everything's blurry.
It's like
I
the
watched
Captain
it the first
America.
time, so it's like,
Well, I think the movie did a good job of catching you up on plot points that you
Oh,
need
yeah,
to know.
definitely.
Right.
Guess what, lizards?
So
That was what they did, basically.
Right. If I want to get out my opinions of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, all I want to say
Were
is
those the ones with Tobey Maguire?
Tobey Maguire, yes.
Tobey
I did
Maguire.
not see the third one, and I'm glad.
You're
I
not
did, 'cause I
missing.
heard-
You're not
Yeah, I know.
missing much.
No, you're missing
bad.
everything. That's the best one.
But I just want to say that I've been a huge Spider-Man fan for a long time.
I
It
am
was
a
the first
Spider-Man.
comic book I've ever read. The first movie I ever
I
saw
am
in theaters
Spider-Man.
was the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie.
And I'm Spider-Man. You're not Spider-Man.
No,
Jamie
no.
Foxx rage.
But I do enjoy the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies.
I love
Although
them
now
all.
looking back on them, one does
The
not
thing is,
hold up.
Joey, they're
One
dumb.
does not hold up.
They're
Two,
dumb.
I-
That's
I-
why they're great.
I still
That's
think-
why I love them.
I still think 2 is still a good movie.
And it had an awesome video game.
Yeah, it did.
It had the best
Great.
one that they have yet to make.
That.
Seriously, that game was 10 years ago. The fucking 2 Amazing Spider-Man games don't even come close to it. And it's sad. It's really sad.
Does it not? I haven't gotten to play them.
No, they
they're
suck.
okay.
The second one gets closer, but guess what? Does everything wrong again.
Like the
Fuck
last
it.
one I played was like
Just
Web
fuck
of
it.
Shadows.
Just
I
flip
like
the
that
tables.
one. I like that one. I like.
Web of
I like
Shadows
Game
was
of
decent.
Thrones.
I quite liked that it was. It also had the symbiote Wolverine in it.
Oh yeah. That's cool.
Can we get a little more topic?
Yeah, sure.
Alright. I just want to say I enjoyed the original Sam Raimi trilogy. I was
They were great.
kind of disappointed in
I
3,
loved them.
and even looking back at 1, it still seems kind of weird. But
I was never
but
disappointed.
I still love Spider-Man 2. I still love Spider-Man 2 to this
I was
day.
never disappointed.
As for the Amazing Spider-Man,
Oh, you
I
come
know
over
a
here.
lot of
You wanna
people
look-
disliked
look at
it,
that
but
camera.
I loved it because it reminded me a lot of Ultimate Spider-Man, which are the comics that I grew up reading, and I felt it was good, and it
No Venom yet,
not yet, but we know it's coming.
but a shitty Rhino.
Okay.
So-
But I do want to say that I enjoyed the first movie so much, and I was really excited for this one. What about you guys? What do you think of the other Spider-Man movies?
I loved the trilogy. Even though it was dumb. I loved it because it was dumb.
Right.
My favorite scene in that entire trilogy is when Peter Parker comes dancing out of the
Oh my
clothing
god!
store.
Yeah,
No.
It's fucking amazing.
I know about that one.
But then he does the jazz club thing.
Yeah.
Black suit was done so wrong.
It was great though. Shut up.
Okay, fine. Anthony, what about you?
I'm about the same with you. Like, yeah, like I loved when I first watched it. Like, I loved Spider-Man 1, but now I look back. Like, I was even watching it the other day. I was like,
Yeah, same
this
here.
is.
Spider-Man.
The script is bad.
Spider-Man, I'm gonna go make a video game.
Second one, I loved.
The video game is better.
The movie or the game.
Actually, the
second
first
one
video game was
great, I
shit.
love it.
The second one is the
So,
best out of the
Third
trilogy.
did not see amazing. Again, I'm blurry, but this one was good. I
Right.
mean, the probably though I'm gonna have
was
to make
decent.
this out before.
I
we
wouldn't
go,
say
is,
great.
like, my biggest complaint is
Rhino?
Rhino.
Yeah.
He only shows up for like 2 minutes, and
It was in the trailers.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
entire scene.
Okay, I get
and
it.
he looks like an obese hippo.
He looks like a piece of shit. Is what he looks like.
All right, well,
I
The
didn't like.
entire scene was in the trailers,
I
and it
thought it
makes it
was-
sad.
The problem
well,
is like,
that's just a marketing
like the
issue.
lens,
That's not
and
an issue with
it's
the
like,
movie. Let's start with the beginning of the movie. All the stuff with Richard Parker, Peter's
Richard
father.
Parker.
Oh Lord.
That was the name of the cat from Pi, right? From the Life
The
of
tiger.
Pi. The cat. It was a cat. Richard Parker, no!
Left 3.44.
Stop creating evil. Stop creating venom. Stop it. Just imagine if
Alright,
like it turns
okay.
to a scene of Richard Parker and then there's that Indian kid.
Right. Okay. So the stuff with Peter's parents in this new movie series, I think is doing is really good.
Guess what? They're both dead.
Yeah. well,
Spoiler alert.
He's like Batman and every other superhero.
okay, so I really like the direction that they're taking with this because it's very different from what they did with the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies.
It's great.
And it's also
I like
very
it.
very reminiscent of the Ultimate stuff, and it makes the fact that Peter is Spider-Man. It gives that a little more credibility than it did
No,
in the
keep
first
doing that.
movie. Because in the very first Spider-Man movie with Sam Raimi, it was basically just a massive freaking coincidence
Massive
that he
clusterfuck
was
is
bitten.
what it was.
And so basically anyone else who would be bitten by those spiders could be Spider-Man.
17 Spider-Men!
But the way they did
The
it,
Sinister 17.
but the way they did it in this movie, I thought was really
They make
clever.
out a lot, they do.
Because
Do you make out with Spider-Man a lot?
all the time. Because what they
You have
did,
one of those Spider-Man body pillows, just like Jamie Foxx.
you know what, you probably would. But I do like how they make him being Spider-Man sort of like a fate thing.
I love
Like,
how
it could
Electro is
only
really
have
obsessed with
It
him.
could only have happened to him because his. By the way, this is going to be very spoiler-filled. Obviously, we're going through the movie.
It's never serious with us. Though.
Well, what happened with Richard Parker in the beginning of the
Richard
movie
Parker.
is he's trying. Again, he works at Oscorp, and there's this whole big conspiracy with Norman Osborn wants to weaponize his research.
He wants to kill Spider-Man.
With Spider. Anthony just fucking
phone
fell
went
down.
off.
Oh, look at that. Look at that
Okay.
copyright.
So,
Alright.
I guess Anthony's going to leave us.
Alright.
Spider-Man is
Alright,
Jesus.
I'll be out there in a second.
All right.
He's also America. I was watching the American flag, Anthony.
Okay, Anthony. Thank you for joining us for your
Yeah.
time.
Thank you for being a
Shaking
friend.
Final words in the movie. What do you think?
Gwen Stacy.
Yeah.
That's the only final word.
I like the techno music when they fought Electro.
Well, it
I'm gonna
makes
talk about
sense
that
because
when I
he's
get on the
Electro. If it
Right.
was
Are you-
Rhino,
are
it
you
would have to be
following
like
me, Mom?
stupid
Yeah.
butt rock.
Okay, so I guess back to the whole Richard Parker thing.
Okay. Richard Parker.
He's destroying his research so that Norman Osborn cannot use it. Norman Osborn.
And he
being-
gasses a bunch of spiders like they're Jews in the Holocaust.
Whoa! Holy!
You didn't hear me turn to Anthony and go, "Oh look, he's Spider Hitler."
What the hell? No, I didn't hear that. And, okay. By the way, we all saw the movie together.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm never doing it again because he keeps saying he always sees the movie before us.
well, because
so he
I wanted to
knows.
see it again. Okay, so I'm sorry, Jesus.
So invite us to the midnight premiere or whatever the fuck you go to.
So the whole thing with Richard Parker, I thought was really good. In the beginning of the movie, we get that continuation. We get a little bit of before what happened in the beginning of the first movie, and then a little bit after, because we see that he's at Oscorp and he's trying to destroy all his research so Norman can't use it. But then his user access ID is revoked, so he can, of course, eliminate all the spiders that he did the research on. So we see him, of course, dropping off Peter and Aunt May and Uncle Ben's. He tells him,
And they made
says
him
goodbye.
fried beans.
And we see he's there. He's there with his wife Mary on a plane, and they're talking about how they can
And then
never
it
go
suddenly
back.
turns into nonstop with Liam Neeson.
I never saw that movie, so I don't.
I didn't
know.
either. The creatures did.
Oh,
I didn't.
okay.
I heard it was dumb.
Well, you never know until you see a movie.
Yeah,
So that
because the
you got your
creatures
own
were wrong about this one.
Exactly. See, there you go. So then an assassin hired by Osborn comes to kill Richard Parker.
His name is Deathstroke.
We don't know. No,
I
he
wish.
wasn't given a name. He wasn't given a name. and it doesn't
Same as
matter.
Richard
He
Parker.
fucking dies anyway.
He dies.
Basically,
They all
the
die.
whole plane starts crashing down, but not before Richard Parker is able to safely download his files remotely to a remote web link called Roosevelt.
Roosevelt.
Now, we find out what goes on with that later, but I'll discuss that later.
It's Teddy Roosevelt. He's
and
alive.
By the way, I love the... I wish.
We all wish.
I actually, no, FDR.
No, FDR was a cripple.
He was one of the best presidents, okay?
No, Teddy was.
What? You think so?
Teddy invented the teddy bear.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you that.
He's also in Persona. Teddy Roosevelt.
Right.
Joey, why don't
Okay.
you throw up a picture of Teddy with Teddy Roosevelt's face on him?
Will do. Anyway, I gotta say, I love the transition, by the way, from the scene with his parents to actual Spider-Man, because they show the plane comes crashing down, and then it goes to black, and we see, the epic Spider-Man theme starts playing, and we
Yeah.
see his spider logo.
And the spider
then
whispering.
It's actually on it actually morphs into the Spider-Man logo that's on his back as he's free falling through the city.
Yeah, that was actually a cool shot.
I thought that was nice. That
was
looked
decent.
cool.
That was a cool shot. A shot
can
we
we-
would never be able to replicate.
Exactly. Can we talk about the visual effects of this movie so far?
Decent.
I think it was really good.
Decent. Mostly CG. I have problems with that, but
Right.
CG done well.
Exactly. See, because with a movie like this, obviously you have to have CG for most things.
Yeah.
But I thought they implemented it well enough that
You're the one who told me the web swing in the first one was all practical,
it was all practical. Not in this
except
one.
for a green screen.
Right. Well, but they actually had him swinging was the
Yeah.
point. They didn't do that for this movie. Not
I
all of
could
it
tell.
anyway.
I could tell that it was.
But
CG.
I do gotta say, the way they made him move while he was web swinging was very natural and fluid, and I really did like it.
At least it wasn't TF2 like movie maker.
Source filmmaker, you mean?
Yeah, that thing. I forgot the name of it.
No, it's okay. I knew it because I have TF2 on my computer. It's like
Yeah.
the only thing I can run on that stupid thing.
Yeah, I can't even run that. Remember when we tried to get into a game together and I just
And
ran
you were
into a
just
wall
freaking lagging
because I
out?
couldn't fucking see anything?
Exactly. Way to go. But the opening scene I thought was really exhilarating after that.
It was-
where we see Paul Giamatti's character,
Calendar Man.
Alexei Sitsevich, better known as the Rhino later
Better
on.
known as Calendar Man.
He did kind of look like Calendar Man. The
He
way
looked a lot
the
like
ball
Calendar Man.
And, like, the
And it was
lobotomy thing
great
going on.
because just before that, Anthony was like, I don't want to see Spider-Man. I want to see Calendar Man.
Yeah, that's what he said in the movie theater. I want to see a Calendar Man movie. And we were all laughing about that.
Calendar
God, the people in the
Man.
theaters were probably going to think that we're jackasses or something.
I guarantee it. I thought, I think at one point you were like, you guys are talking through the whole movie. I thought it was somebody behind us saying that. I was like, oh shit, we're in trouble.
Anyway.
That's how I watch movies. That's how I keep track. Is I talk. That's how I keep track of things.
I keep track of things in my mind and I just try to
I
pay
can't do
attention
that
to
because
what's
then I forget.
Right. Okay. Well, but I do like the opening scene because we see it's Alexei Sitsevich. I'm just gonna say Paul Giamatti because that's easier.
Paul
to say.
Giamatti. It was
Because,
Paul Giamatti.
Paul Giamatti is stealing this truck and everything, and he's the Spider-Man's humor, and that is great.
He
you
does
see him
a very
knock on his
Deadpool-like-
window and everything, and
Very
just talk about
Deadpool-like
it.
humor.
Yeah. Well, no, very Spider-Man-like humor.
Very Spider Deadpool.
Right. Well,
Spider-Pool.
Well, I mean, Deadpool has basically Spider-Man humor, just more.
Deadpool is
morbid.
basically Spider-Man.
He's a morbid version of Spider-Man.
Buddy
He's
cop
aware-
movie. It'll be a buddy cop movie. Spider-Man, Deadpool. The
That'd be-
Amazing Spider-Man 4, Deadpool edition.
The Amazing Pool.
The Amazing Pool.
I would love to see that.
I would watch it. I would watch the shit out of that.
Dude, we would all watch it.
We'd all watch it like 5 times
It'd be
in
a
the same
billion-dollar
theater.
movie. You all
It
know
would.
that. Okay.
You get $1 billion a ticket. I'd pay it.
Okay. So, I do really like all the visuals that were going
It
on
was
in that
decent.
scene. It was very thrilling and high-powered and action-wise. It was great. It was cool.
Jamie Foxx looked great in CG.
And we also see Jamie
With
Foxx's
his
character, Max
big black
Dillon.
nose.
We're introduced to in that scene.
He had the biggest nose in that entire movie.
His hair was all like goofy looking.
Yeah, his hair was
Yeah.
all. He looked like fucking Doc Brown's retarded black cousin.
I think that was the point.
Yeah, it was.
They wanted to make him look goofy, of course, because he's basically
Because
nobody.
he's fucking goofy.
Of course, he wouldn't care about his appearance because no one else
And
cares about him.
Nova had said in The Creatures Go See The Amazing Spider-Man 2 that everybody in New York was just assholes.
Not
In this
really.
movie, I didn't notice it. Like Nova made it sound like
No.
everybody was jumping Jamie Foxx at every point.
No,
but
it's
no,
just that,
it
it's
never
just that
really
no one
happened.
wanted to help him when he dropped his
Yeah.
blueprints, which is understandable.
Granted-
I mean, think about it. If you're walking down the street and you see some nerdy guy go, "Help me! I dropped all my shit," you want to go, "I don't want to be associated with that you know.
I would help him,
Fucking
but that's
walk
because
away.
I'm a nerdy guy.
Right. Well, you know, I would consider it. I'd be like, I see a truck
But
coming
then you
that
keep
way.
walking.
I'm not going. So.
Like Nova said, you don't sit there and take out your dick and piss on him.
Right. But I like what they did with his relationship with Spider-Man because Spider-Man saves
He
him.
was a stalker.
And
he was a Spider-Man stalker.
And Max becomes obsessed with this dude because I mean, think about it. His entire life, no one cares about him, and then this one dude saves his life, and is like, "You're my eyes and ears out here, man." He's like,
Yeah,
"You're good."
Spider-Man
You're a great
was
guy.
stupid
You're not
about
nobody.
that. He should have been like, "I don't fucking know you," and then walked away.
No, Spider-Man was just trying to do the right thing and be nice. But Max really
Unlike
attached himself
everybody
to
in
this
New
dude.
York, everybody in New York was just ignoring him.
Right.
Acting like he didn't
Well,
fucking
no,
exist.
Well, hold on. I mean, picture it this way.
Spider-Man
If-
is my
if
enemy.
No one cares about you, and you feel that way. Someone gives you just the slightest amount of attention. Don't you immediately sort of?
Well, he kind of did that
Attach
with
yourself to
Gwen.
them.
Gwen like mentioned his name once while leaving the elevator,
Yep.
and he was, like started flipping his shit.
And he's like, oh, she remembered my name.
He tried to catch up to her.
Yeah.
Probably to rape her. Who wouldn't?
I don't. Yeah.
Emma Stone, for
Yeah.
fuck's sake.
Um.
Okay,
So-
well, Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx. His character I found was really sympathetic because
He was good. He
And
was a
for-
decent character.
Yeah, I liked the character. And I liked it a lot more than the characterization in the comic
And
books
the
because-
whispering. We're gonna talk about the whispering.
Well, yeah, we'll get that once we get to that particular scene. But then next is the.
But like that was like his first scene after being saved. It was like when he's in his bathroom. He's like, "Hey, Spider-Man, you here for my birthday?"
Right.
And he like grabs the cake and he's like, "Oh, you made me a cake."
Yeah,
gonna fuck it.
He's talking to Spider-Man. He's not really.
He's talking
there,
to a
but
picture
he's
of
talking to-
Spider-Man.
He's got pictures hanging up
He's
on
got
his
his dick
wall.
out.
He's like
Doing
freaking.
this thing.
He's like the Riddler in
He
Batman
is.
Forever.
Hey, Batman, we're friends. He's like Hugo Strange. He dresses up
Did you
like
notice
Spider-Man.
that he had a newspaper clipping that he like arranged to make it say Max and Spider-Man save the city.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was
That was fucking weird. This is what it was.
call from Anthony.
Anthony's here to tell us about Jamie Foxx. Are we gonna talk about the whispering yet?
Right. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. I just had to cut out a major.
Sorry
chunk.
about that, fucks.
Because.
No.
Okay. I'm sorry. Sorry about that, everyone. Because I had to cut out a major chunk of video.
No, you didn't. Don't
because-
cut it.
Because that was boring. as hell.
Fucker.
No, because Anthony, we were trying to get Anthony on the speakerphone so we can continue our conversation, but
Spider-Man.
it's just not gonna work.
Spider-Man, you come here for my birthday,
So-
and then you edit out my videos.
So it's just gonna be Jacob and me, okay? All right.
Jacob and
So,
Joey
again, back-
solving lots of problems,
Back-
and then
back to the
creating
whole-
more problems.
The whole Max thing.
Sam Max.
Did you notice the color of his birthday cake?
What was it?
Green and yellow, like his classic comic book colors. I thought that was clever.
What the fuck was with the X-Men suit that he had?
Okay, that was much later on. But,
That was dumb.
right.
Every
Uh,
villain design in this was dumb. Except for like when he was wearing the hoodie. I liked him when he was wearing the hoodie.
Right. Well, I don't think all the villain designs were bad, but.
Rhino
Okay,
sucked.
I guess moving back on, I guess also during, I mean later on during the same heist where Spider-Man's going after Alexei in the beginning of the movie,
Yeah.
his
ringtone is a theme.
is the 60s Spider-Man theme
And then he's
song.
also whistling it when he captures the Rhino Man.
Yeah, it's great. It's so, well, Rhino, but
He's the Rhino Man.
the Rhino Man, okay.
Just like they always say, the Spider-Man, and it fucking bothers me.
Why?
Because that's not how it is!
Well, what is it?
There's only one Spider-Man, why do you have to initiate it?
Initiate
Why
it.
do you have to, like, say, like, it's this Spider-Man?
It's the Spider-Man.
I don't fucking
As
care.
in, there is only one.
There
That's
can
why
be
people
only
say
one.
the Batman, because there is one Batman.
Well, that's because it's the Batman. The Spider-Man sounds like bullshit.
Whatever.
The Spider-Man is my enemy.
Okay. Anyway, and while he, by the way, he's on the phone with Gwen Stacy, and he's missing their graduation.
Yeah.
It's their high school graduation.
Yeah.
And
So he
he's
doesn't
on,
graduate, he stays in middle school
He's
forever.
on his way, but it's high school, not middle school.
Middle high
And
school.
there's one thing: when he looks over into a police car, he sees
Gwen Stacy.
Gwen's father, Captain Stacy.
Captain Stacy,
And
the
that is a
sexiest
big
bitch
thing.
in the police department.
Moving on.
He's
And
dead. I'm
that
not
is a
allowed to
big
say
part
words.
of this movie because he died in the first movie. He was killed by the lizard.
Spoilers.
And his final words to Peter were to leave Gwen out of it. And it's a big point where he keeps talking to Gwen later. He keeps saying that he sees Captain Stacy everywhere he goes, and he's trying desperately to get him out of his head. And it leads to a point
He keeps thinking about him naked.
Can this please be a serious
No.
talk? So it gets to the point where he basically tries to break up with Gwen.
He tries to blow the image
trying
of
to
him
do
out
it-
of his head with a bullet.
He's trying to do everything he's trying to do it for her. He's trying to
I'll do it for
her
her.
benefit. For her benefit. He's trying to
The Bone Stone Revolution continues.
Why do you call it that?
Because that's what it's called.
It says who?
Everyone.
I've never heard that anyone else but you.
What does
say
he matter to you anyway? Everything.
Don't you dare quote that Spider-Man movie to me.
It's great. Shut up. You hate it too much.
You
Like
it too much.
you tell me I hate the Amazing Spider-Man games too much. Cause fuck you, I'm holding it to standards of a 10-year-old game. You hate Spider-Man 3 too much.
I don't hate it.
You hate it.
The visuals are decent. Story and characters, eh.
I like it. Cause it's dumb. There's a man made of sand! And another man made of goop! He's made of goop! Get out the goop!
Okay, moving on. So the whole thing with Captain Stacy, we see him all throughout this movie.
Yeah, he
constantly
disappears.
in Peter's
Just like
memory.
Stan Lee
And
in all the Marvel
just
movies.
Just the way that he stares at him, just the skull.
It's
you
like
can
I'm
see.
pissed face.
Basically, dude.
It's like, dude, I just caught you fucking my daughter
Yeah.
face.
No, that face is worse.
that face is a
That
shotgun
face
in
is,
front of it.
Yeah, like, bust through the bedroom door with a shotgun. Get the fuck out of here.
Didn't that happen in the first movie? Like, no, he didn't get
What?
caught, but he did have sex with her.
No,
a
I
few
don't think. I don't
times.
think they did.
They slept together.
No, they
They may
didn't.
not have had sex, but they
No,
were
he
in the
was
same room.
he was there with her with his shirt off,
Yeah.
and she was cleaning his lizard wounds.
Cleaning your lizard wounds sounds so horrible. Sounds like a weird sex thing, just like that shop I found in the mall.
Oh lord. Okay.
It's called Cleaning Your Lizard Wounds, the store.
Can you? Okay, I didn't mean to turn that into a thing. Can?
It's not gonna be a thing, Joey. It's now gonna be a total thing.
God damn it.
It's gonna be on our channel. Just like Frank. Frank was in this movie.
A screaming cop.
You know what? I was actually hoping that there would be a cop that just runs down the street and yells. But every cop just, like, as soon as Spider-Man shows up, just says, fuck it.
It's like we're not
Did
doing
you
our
notice
job.
it?
Yeah.
Then they threw him a fucking megaphone for no good
Spider-Man's the
reason.
police.
Yeah, Spider-Man's the police. Give him a badge and a gun.
Basically, I think they would.
They totally would.
It's like 60s Batman. He's deputized.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Spider-Man, I want your badge and your gun on my desk in 5 minutes. You're fired.
but then crime will not stop
Yes, it
if
will.
he's fired.
Crime stops if Superman becomes the Punisher for a day. You jaywalk and your head just flies off.
Okay. There's another aspect of this movie I want to talk about, and I think it's one of the strongest points.
There's no Punisher.
Harry
Very
Osborn.
strong. Ooh, he was good.
I
liked him.
loved Dane DeHaan. Did you see Chronicle?
No.
He was one of the main dudes in that.
Isn't that that movie where the kids get psychic powers?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I
He
wanted
was-
to, but I never
he,
did.
He was the villain of that movie, and he was cast.
Weren't they
because of
all
that.
kind of villains?
Sort of, but he was the worst because he killed one of the other dudes and
Um,
fucking robs banks with his powers. and
wasn't that
stuff.
whole movie like shot from like a? It's almost like a documentary type camera.
Sort of, yeah.
It was weird.
It was all found footage, but it was interesting.
Dumb.
But I do like what they did with Harry.
those kind of movies I don't like.
Because
Found footage.
our first introduction to him is him confronting his father on his deathbed.
Who looks like Green Goblin? Looks more like Green Goblin than he does later when he's Green Goblin.
Exactly. No, like I said, we see him. We see Norman Osborn. He's freaking green. He's
got long nails.
claws.
He's
I
a
mean,
lizard.
He's. You know
He's
what? I
basically a
think,
lizard.
I think they used a modified version of the lizard serum on him.
Not as intense as what Connor's got,
No.
but still enough
Yeah.
to cause problems.
Yeah. Exactly. Like I said, I have a speculation as to that, but I want to talk about their.
Why wasn't Dr. Smythe played by Nolan North? Where the fuck?
Because they. Well, we'll get to him later. He was played by B.J. Novak. Interestingly enough,
I want to be best friends with that guy.
I actually saw the guy named BJ.
Yeah. He probably gets all the ladies like, hey, my name's BJ.
Hey, guys.
Like, hey, BJ.
Hey, you want to give BJ a BJ?
Yeah. You give BJ a beej.
I don't actually know what his real name is. He just is always
Give-
credited as BJ Novak.
You give BJ a beej.
Okay, moving on.
Experience the beej.
So we actually do no, but we'll talk about Smythe later.
Where are we on this list?
Harry Osborn. Talking about
Okay,
Harry.
gotcha.
His introduction with Norman is really great because we do get to
Great.
see. I love the relationship that they played between the two.
They fucking hate each other.
Chris Cooper was great as Norman Osborn in that one scene and that's what it was in the comics because Norman fucking hates his son.
Did he die in the comics?
Norman,
Yeah.
he died and came back.
I thought he was the Goblin.
He was.
He was. What, did he kill Spider-Man?
No.
No, he was too busy chasing ghosts with Ellen Page.
What? Oh, right. Willem Dafoe, right?
Yeah.
In Beyond Two Souls, that thing.
Yeah.
It took me a minute
That horrible
to figure out
game
what
that
the
I
hell you
thought
were
was
talking
great
about.
at first. That everybody thought was great at first, but then they actually
then they played
thought. Then they grew a brain. Just
But
like the
I
Tin
do
Man.
gotta say, I love Dane DeHaan's performance in this movie. He is great, and the way when he freaking when Norman tells him, he's like, "I never told you, did I? This disease, yeah, it's genetic. You're gonna die too."
Basically
So,
says fuck you.
off.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, don't be laughing that your dad's dying now because guess what? You're gonna die a lot sooner.
It's horrible.
Because that's exactly what the relationship is like in the comic books. They freaking hate each other's
But then he
guts.
fucks himself later on trying to cure it.
Exactly.
I think he caused more problems.
Because he wants to live. He wants to live in
He caused more problems for himself than he had to begin with.
Because he does things the wrong way. He looks at it the wrong way. He does the
He looks at it as like, I can be Spider-Man, but then it doesn't fucking
But we
work that way.
see Norman supposedly dies in this movie, but I'm going to say right now, I do not think he is dead.
I don't know.
I'm
I don't
almost...
know. I didn't read the comic where he comes back, so I'm sure it's great.
It was during the Clone Saga thing.
Does it have the condom coat hanger?
What? Explain that.
We talked about this before we went into the
You
movie.
did, but I forgot. Explain.
J. Jonah Jameson created the Scorpion, and the original design for the Scorpion was like a condom coat hanger.
Okay. Anyway, so I like all the stuff with Harry, and we see him trying to run Oscorp because his father, for whatever reason in his will, said Harry needs to run the company. Even though this asshole Donald Mencken is obviously...
This asshole Donald Trump.
Yeah, might as well be.
Is that bald guy? That
yeah.
guy that, yeah.
Yeah, that was Donald Mencken.
He gets his heart restarted later on.
That was a fucking great scene.
It
I'm gonna
was.
bring that up when
So
we get there.
anticlimactic, it's just like when Indiana Jones shot the swordsman.
Yeah. Except that was planted for comedy. But I do like Harry trying to run everything and basically telling everyone, you know what, fuck it, I don't want to deal with this. Hey, you girl over there, you deal with all these assholes.
Who is
that
Black
report to
Cat?
me. Yes, I'm glad you caught that. I was gonna bring it
Because
up.
I know who Black Cat is, Joey. I'm
Okay.
sure Anthony didn't catch it, but I did.
Okay, I'm glad you caught that because I was.
I didn't know
excited
she
with
worked for Oscorp, but
But no, here's the thing. I have a speculation with Black Cat. Because obviously,
I think she's
this
working
girl-
there to steal stuff.
There's this exactly because they mentioned that she was Norman Osborn's assistant.
yeah, assistant.
What I think in the
She was
comic
Spider-Man's
books,
assistant,
in the
quote,
comic
unquote.
books, in the comic books, she had a big thing with the Kingpin. The Kingpin like locked up her father in this maximum security thing for like forever.
So she hung
and
him-
She tried working for the Kingpin to try to get information on it. I think this is what the thing is.
You
in
think
this
it's
way.
her working
I
for
think-
Kingpin to
I think
get information on
I think
Oscorp?
it's her working for Osborn.
Ah. So Osborn is the Kingpin because Fox owns Kingpin.
Well, I think they're replacing the role of what the Kingpin was in the comic books in Black Cat's origin story with Osborn.
Well. Isn't
I-
the Kingpin deathly afraid of the Punisher?
Yeah, of course.
As he should be.
Everyone should be.
Like, it's funny, like, the Kingpin faces all these, like, actual superheroes.
Right.
But a dude with a gun is his
Daredevil,
worst
Spider-Man.
nightmare.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. He's not scared of Matt Murdock or Peter Parker. It's Frank Castle. He's fucking scared.
Does he actually fight the Daredevil in the comics?
Who, Kingpin?
Yeah.
He's his arch enemy.
And they fight.
Yes.
He doesn't fight the Punisher.
No.
He doesn't even bother.
He runs.
Like, he can't win.
Run, fat man, run. Exactly. But I do definitely think, I like who's cast as Black Cat.
She
Felicity
seemed a
Jones,
little
her
shy
name?
to me.
But
Black
okay,
Cat.
hold on. I want to say.
But I know she's supposed to be like playing a cover if that's
Yeah,
what you're trying to
but
go
look,
for,
if you-
but
something about her eyes just says it all about her performance. Just all, and if you look at her eyes and just like
got
the
those fuck me eyes.
minor movements, I would.
I know you would.
Exactly.
The Bone Stone Revolution.
It's over. We need a replacement.
Felicia.
The Black Cat.
Felicia is fellatio. That's what we all need in our lives.
God damn it.
I gotta show you that thing on Newgrounds.
What?
Never mind.
I don't want to know.
We're not gonna talk about it now.
Never mind. Okay. But I do gotta say the little takes on her performance just says I know more than I'm leading on.
Yes.
The fact that she tells Harry, "Oh yeah, there's this special projects division." Well, how the hell did you know that?
I always get confused. I don't know why, because I know that Black Cat's hair isn't white. But I get confused because he calls her Felicia, and I'm like, wait, that's not black. Oh.
It is.
It's a fucking wig.
It is.
That's what it is.
Well, no. Well,
Her white hair is a wig.
her white hair.
It's
Well,
part of her
yeah.
cover.
In the animated series, they did a weird thing where whatever power she got, turned her hair white.
But that wasn't a thing
Well,
in the
notice
comics. 'cause
Harry's hair turned white, sort
Yeah.
of, when he was Goblin. So
that-
maybe
the white hair thing wasn't a thing in the comics because in the comics, I think she actually had short hair in the comics. And
Right.
she would like put on
No.
a wig in the mask.
She would put on a wig in public, but she had white hair normally
Did she?
in the comic books. In the animated series, it was blonde hair, but it became
Black
white.
Cat's a fucking confusing character.
Well, whatever. I don't know. I'm excited to see what they do with her character because I'm
Black Widow
100%
shows up.
certain that she'll be on the next one. But moving on.
Why doesn't Black Widow have a
see-
Russian accent? If her ledge is full of red.
Exactly. Good point.
She didn't.
But we see a little bit of bonding with Harry and Peter because Peter sees a news story. Oh, Norman Osborn's dead.
We don't
I
see
wanna
it, but we know
comfort
there's bonding between Felicia and Pete Hanger.
Pete Hanger. What?
I couldn't fucking say Harry. I kept saying Peter.
Okay. But we do get quite a bit of stuff with Harry.
Yes.
And
Harry's like the main villain.
yes,
sort of.
he is. He's like the.
There's Electro, but he's also kind of like the right hand man of Harry. at the
Oscorp
end,
is where everything comes from.
basically.
Oscorp is the big. It's like a
Oscorp
corporate
is
thing.
Umbrella from Resident Evil.
It's like a whole corporate espionage thing. Like they're all trying to do all these experiments and everything that's going to benefit
like Metal
them,
Gear.
but they're trying to cover it up.
It's like
you know,
Metal
it's
Gear.
the Osborne method. Whatever doesn't work in your favor just disappears.
If you like Metal Gear, you like this movie.
Right.
That's what I heard about
Captain.
Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Oh, it was a good movie.
I heard that if you like Metal Gear,
I'm gonna say I think this is better.
I heard that the entire like first half of The Winter Soldier was basically Metal Gear.
Close enough. But all the stuff bonding with Peter and Harry went really well with them talking. They're so similar in these movies because their fathers sort of made them outcasts.
They're best friends.
For different reasons, though.
They're two best friends. They
were
have a
best
YouTube
friends.
channel.
They were best friends.
The
but they-
Amazing
but-
Batman.
But Norman took him away, and it was all because of Richard Parker. He wanted
Richard
of course,
Parker!
He didn't want Harry to be associated with Peter.
I'm just imagining like replacing all the scenes with Richard Parker with a giant fucking tiger.
God damn it. Movie. But I do like the relationship with Peter and Harry, and I love Don's subtle acting stuff when he's with Peter
Dahan?
because you can tell that he's hiding stuff. when
No
he's with
Martin
Peter,
Sheen in this
because
movie.
He's trying to sort of
Not really though.
like him in the background
Background.
for like 2 seconds.
Just like Stan Lee.
Yep.
He looks really confused.
Stanley knows who Spider-Man is now.
Yeah.
He saw him take his mask off, and he's like, I think I know that guy. I was like, wait a minute.
You created him, Stan.
You know who
He
he is.
came out of your uterus.
Moving on.
Stan Lee has a uterus. That's where all the characters come from. That might be true. That might be a real fact I just told you.
Joe, you have to stop. I don't want to hear this. But I do like all the stuff with Harry and Peter. That was
Harry.
great. And
There's
then
a Harry
after
Peter.
afterwards, the whole scene.
I got a
with,
Harry Peter for
with
you.
Peter and Gwen. I gotta say, I love the ground rule scene. I love how it began because Gwen calls Peter basically like, you know what? I'm sorry about all this stuff that happened before. I want to see you again, type thing. And we see Peter's on the other side of the street, and he locks eyes with Gwen, and he never lets up. And we see him walk across the fucking street, like never breaking eye contact.
Just
with
like that
her.
guy in the first movie. You remember the one? There's like a scene, and like in every shot in the background, there's this random dude in a blue coat, just like walking. And you remember that? You showed me that in the
Wait.
first Spider-Man movie.
Oh, right, that
The
dude.
random
that was
fucking
weird.
dude in a blue coat who's just like
Every
walking
scene.
around.
In every scene.
In every scene, he's
like-
obviously like pacing or something.
He's just back and forth. He just took a really long walk across
I
the
wish
city.
there were those kind of things in the new movies, but they're not.
But no, why would they do that?
Cause
But that was weird.
I don't think they planned on that. I think they just had a limited number of extras.
Yeah, because it was the first movie. They had no budget for that. But the whole thing that they're trying to establish ground rules after that because
Yeah.
I like
No
that
more of the
scene,
nose
'cause
thing.
Peter's all like,
I can't take the
your
nose
laugh
thing."
is too cute. I'm just so attracted to you. You have to do a different laugh. And even, you know what? I will agree with Peter. Even the nerdy laugh that Emma Stone did still turns people
That's
on.
because we like nerd girls.
Because we like Emma Stone.
We like nerd girls. It's not even Emma Stone.
It's just, yeah.
Just imagine Emma Stone in a cardigan with glasses reading
Just
a book, and
any-
you get an instant hard on.
Just any girl who you see just reading a Wonder Woman comic, instant in love, just instantly in love.
You put on your Wonder Woman costume and you go over there and you're like, hey,
Hey, I like Wonder Woman too.
I got this lasso of truth.
And you got like hairy legs and everything. Like you never bothered shaving. And it's like
I never
really
do.
skimpy
I
outfit.
never shave my lower body. It's weird. I look like a mountain man from the waist down. I look clean cut from the waist up.
I don't want to hear this. Can we not?
I mean my legs, you fucking pervert.
Hey, you said waist down. I thought that meant.
Jesus Christ.
Well, it's below the waist, isn't it?
Don't talk about this. It's at my waist. It was coming out of my belly button.
What the fuck is wrong? Are you an Oscorp experiment? I gotta say, I love Peter and Gwen's relationship in these movies. They are in love. Like that is the.
They do it good. They do it
Because they
better.
are in love in real
The
life.
thing is,
You know
Kirsten
that, right?
Dunst was a fucking idiot.
Right.
That's-
The romance in in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies did not work because there
Didn't.
was no connection there.
The thing is, if you want two characters to be romantically involved in a movie, you need to find two actors who would be romantically involved if they weren't actors.
Exactly. And well, the thing is, this is why I love the new series so much because they get the personal relationships right.
Yeah.
All the stuff with Peter and Gwen, you
makes me
understand why they're in love with each other. You get that.
Yeah.
But with Peter and Mary Jane in the original movies, you didn't get that because all you know is Peter's like, oh yeah, I've been in love with her since 4th grade. Well, what? What about her attracts you?
Guess what?
Yeah,
She's the rebound chick. Why is she the first one?
Exactly. That was true. But well, you see, the thing is, in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, it seemed like Peter was in love with Mary Jane simply because he didn't
And
know
you
any
could have
other
taken
girls.
the guess. You could have taken the guess in the Sam Raimi movies that maybe Gwen might have died. Like maybe parts of that movie took place after Gwen died. But guess what? Even then,
But he wasn't Spider-Man. That had no right
yeah.
to be.
Well, fuck you, Sam Raimi. I love your movies, but fuck you.
Right.
Replace Mary Jane with Gwen Stacy, and those movies would be perfect.
Exactly. And then we get the whole thing with Max's accident, and we're introduced to Alistair Smythe,
Yeah.
who I really like that they included him in the little short thing, and I like his
Alex-
attitude. He's a dick. He's a dick to Max.
I am Spider-Man, and then Max attacks
on
him.
his freaking birthday. It's his
his
birthday, and Alistair Smythe is like, no, you gotta fix this power circuit. That was a setup if I've ever seen it.
Think
They
how
wanted him to
fucked
be
up that
Electro.
is. Like, if on your birthday you become a weird mutant.
Yeah. I mean, poor Max. I feel
I know.
for the dude. I feel for the dude.
At least Cole McGrath
I
looked
gotta say-
normal.
Okay, this. I'm gonna ask you a tough question, and it's tough for me to decide too.
What?
Less or more sympathetic than Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2?
Do you mean how I feel about the character?
Yes.
More. Because fuck Doc Ock. He was a dick. Like,
Because at least
you could argue he tried to do good, but in the end,
Right.
he was just a stupid fucking supervillain. He was a dick.
you know what I do agree with you because I do think Electro
Because
is
he
more
attacked
sympathetic in the
Spider-Man's
fact that-
family.
Right.
Like, Max didn't try to do that. He
No.
was like, Spider-Man's a dick. I'm gonna kill Spider-Man. But he didn't attack his family.
No, Gwen was there in the final battle.
Yeah, and he didn't
left
even
her
go
alone.
after her.
No, because she knew him. She liked
She knew him.
Because she saw him in that elevator.
He was looking
and
at her, he's
paid-
like,
and-
she remembered my name.
and paid a little bit of attention to him.
Yeah.
And that's, you know what? It's so sad because
That was
there are
enough for
people-
him to overlook her.
There are people like that who I mean, you know what? Even I'm going to admit this. Even I am like that. If people pay me a little bit of attention in a day, I get attached. I'm not
creepy.
going to lie.
I noticed that. You do that.
Not like super duper attached, but it's more like if someone goes up and talks to me and has a little conversation, I'm gonna go, you know what? That was nice of them.
Maybe
They're
we're
a
best
good
friends
person."
now. Maybe I'm gonna hang your picture all over my walls. Maybe you're gonna make me a cake. Make me a cake, Spider-Man.
Okay. Well, you know,
You are Max.
I'm not Max.
Max character based off of Joey.
All right, whatever.
Joey's Electro, secretly.
I'm Electro.
You're like Static Shock.
Holy shit! I did that too well.
You did do that too well.
That scared me.
You got the voices in your head already.
I feel it on the walls.
So,
I feel it in my veins. No matter what you
the
do,
creatures
Doc, you can't contain it.
the creatures made it sound like the whispering was fucking stupid, and it was.
wasn't.
It started out kind of dumb.
It started out weird because they did it before he was Electro.
I was
They
laughing
started
my
it
ass
before he
off
was-
when it first started. I was like, "What the fuck is this? I
But-
can't handle it."
But when it was integrated, okay, after the whole Electro.
When it was like, and the weird thing is, the creatures talked about this as well. The music is synced to electro, and it is,
it's perfect.
but it kind of works.
It works.
I
well.
liked it.
I liked it a lot too. Because I loved the way it was when it was the Times Square scene. Of course, Electro's wandering around.
Best
lost.
scene in the movie, in my opinion.
I loved it a lot too.
It was great.
When Spider-Man shows up and he forgets his name, and Max gets upset, but he's
Max gets really
excited because
upset.
he looks around. He's at Times Square, and everyone. His image
he's
is projected
fucking plastered
to
all
everyone.
over the Times
And
Square,
he's excited,
and he's
then
happy about it.
He gets this,
but then,
and then he accidentally causes something to fall down, and Spider-Man saves some dude, and then everyone's like, "Yeah, Spider-Man!" And then his image replaces Max's.
what do you mean
And
accidentally? Do you mean when he shot the sniper, or when?
Well, that was by accident. Of course, he didn't mean to hurt anyone. He just got when he got.
That wasn't by accident.
Well, when
he had
stepped-
murder in his
well,
eyes.
He stepped in a puddle and got electrocuted, and everyone thought he was going to attack.
And
so they
that was
shot
the
him, and
start.
Yeah.
But
And we
then
see-
he killed the sniper, and that really, I think that was him. I don't think
Right.
that was anything other
But
than
we
him.
see Spider-Man's image replacing Max, and Max is like, "No, stop it."
And you hear the
it-
thoughts in his head,
you
and
hear
the
thoughts
thoughts.
like slowly. It's so great.
It's slowly
like,
getting louder.
It's like he lied to me. He hates me.
Yeah.
They shun me. And then and it builds
And
up
then it-
with the
it
music.
builds up to a yell.
point where he's like, "You lied to me." He's like, "No, Max, I didn't lie to you. I didn't lie to me." And then everything he just goes, boosh, and
Yeah.
attacks. And
It screams the Spider-Man is an enemy, and then he just slams the ground.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's honestly it's the
great.
best part
and
of that
I love
fight.
how Spider-Man's spider sense slows down, and he's able to save all those people from being electrocuted.
And that's actually a cool editing trick
yeah,
too.
that was
when
great.
like
I love
everything
that.
slows down.
I gotta say the editing of this movie was really well. All the visual
Pretty
stuff
decent.
was
Pretty
great.
decent.
Electro was a good choice of villain for this movie, because if you really
Well,
want to get down to it,
He's a shitty villain. I don't like him very much, but looking
But
at him
visually-
in this he was great.
exactly. So obviously the two most visual villains that you could ever use in a Spider-Man movie, Electro and Mysterio.
Still have yet to see Mysterio in the movie.
And okay,
I
you
want to see him.
me too. And I have I
He was
thought
always
about
my
this.
favorite, to be honest.
I love the character so much, and he's good. The thing is, they have to rework the fishbowl a little bit to make it. I think they
No.
could. I think they can make it
Fishbowl.
into a helmet.
Only
type
fishbowl.
thing.
There has to be fish in it.
Oh, you ever play the What If mode of the Spider-Man 2000 game?
No.
If you enter a cheat code, you get What If mode, which is all these weird, goofy things. There's a fish swimming around.
Yeah,
his
I
head.
figured they would do that because
And that
I
was
would
funny.
do that if
That
I was a
that-
if I was a developer.
And it was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
It's great.
But I have a whole thing. And we'll get to this at the end of the video. I thought long and hard about what I want in the next Spider-Man
You
movie.
think long and hard all
and
the
I-
time.
Oh, all
While
the
you're
time.
spanking your monkey. Mm-hmm. That monkey's a bad monkey.
Yeah, I
Needs
know.
a good spanking.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we gotta really train that dude before he's eligible to be on the Legion of Super Pets.
Before he's a monkey butler.
Right. Okay, so the Times Square thing is really good.
a
And
great
I
scene.
love all the stuff with Max. And I know that the line that he says, "It's my birthday, time to light me my candles."
And then he
It was a
shoots the thing.
It was a little lame, but you know what? That's what Max would do. He's trying. He's trying to be cool.
He's trying to be a cool guy.
He wants to be this cool.
He wants to
dude.
be like the Joker, basically.
Yeah.
Where like everybody likes him, but they hate him.
That's what he. So I find it. I don't find it lame.
And there's
I
a
find
whole
it fitting
thing
for his
when
character.
when Spider-Man like throws him into the big screen,
Right.
where you start to hear the voices again, and it kind of sounds like he's happy that people fear him.
Kinda.
Yeah,
Because at least he's known. That's
Yeah.
what he wants more than anything.
he
is
wants
to be known.
even if he has to be infamous, he
wants-
wants to be known.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? That's a
Infamous.
good villain. That is a
Electricity.
good villain. Because it's interesting.
Cole
because
McGrath.
It doesn't necessarily make him bad. It just means the tragic circumstances that happened forced him to need to
He
do
just
it in
he
this bad
feels
way.
like these people don't matter because he never mattered to them.
Yeah, and you know what? That's good. I gotta say though, whoever wrote the script for this movie did a damn good job.
I liked the writing was
and,
decent,
and I'm good because the same team is coming back for the next movie, the Venom movie, and the Sinister Six.
and Suicide Squad.
And I want.
You know, I don't think they would ever be able to sell a movie
called Suicide Squad. Right?
Because people would be like, "What the fuck? It's a bunch of dudes killing themselves
You know
every
what?
5 minutes."
They'd probably call it Task Force X, like they did in the
But it's
Justice
the
League
Suicide
cartoon.
Squad.
Yeah,
Like, and then there's me going to Task Force X, the movie, and I sit down and I'm like, Suicide Squad!
exactly. All right. But I gotta say, the whole Times Square fight thing was really good.
It was great.
And
It
then
was
we
the
do
best.
see a lot of stuff with Peter trying to fix his web shooters afterwards, which is a really funny scene where he's
I think
like,
that would happen in Ultimate Spider-Man, where
Yeah.
he'd break your web shooters.
exactly. And and I love that they do that because not everything is perfect. Because I can't wait. I want to see in the next movie a moment where he's like swinging and then his web runs out. Because that happened all
You
the
mean
time.
like in Spider-Man 2,
Well, no, except
where he loses his powers and then falls through the alleyway?
well, it was sort of like that, but in the comics it would always be like, oh crap, I gotta quickly change to my other web cartridge.
While
And,
he's
like,
falling to his death.
pretty much. And do it really quickly, and that was always suspenseful. Like, they would do that in the comics and...
Just like when
TV
eagles have
show.
sex. Did you know about this?
No.
The reason there's so little bald eagles is because when they have sex, they fly at each other from a really high distance and they slam into each other and they plummet and they try to get it done before they hit the ground.
Why can't we do that?
Because we'd all be fucking dead!
But that'd be the most exciting way to go.
Spider-Man style, you gotta change out your web shooters in the middle of, like, sky sex.
Oh, God.
Sky sex, this is what this
What do you think
video is
him and
about.
Gwen did on the way to the bridge?
Yeah, sky sex.
You see, I like how they make Peter like a scientific type dude, where he's trying to get all the web shooter stuff done,
He's not a
and it like
photographer
explodes
anymore.
in his fucking face. Oh, I love the mentions of Jameson in this.
It's just that email that says, these are crap.
No, he sends him an email of Spider-Man picture. He says, please change your stance that Spider-Man's just trying to help. And then 2 seconds later, he gets an email. Wrong.
And then under
love
that,
that.
there's the email that says, what is this? These are crap.
Did it really? Is that what it said?
Yeah.
That was great. I can't wait to see who plays him. There's been so many.
Morgan Freeman.
I'd be okay with that.
Now, Peter, I don't like these pictures of Spider-Man.
Parker, you're fired. I'm sorry, guys.
And then
I
he,
can't
like,
act bad.
He very like slowly slams down a coffee cup. Like,
Morgan Freeman can't be mad.
he's got a very burgundy
can't-
voice.
He can't be mad. You know what? I've heard. There's rumors that J.K. Simmons is gonna come back.
J.K. Simmons.
For
That
Jameson.
was. He was perfect, Jameson.
Exactly.
He was the best part of the first 3 movies.
Exactly. And you know what? Mark Webb said he would love it. J.K. Simmons said he would do it, but he would do it differently. He said if they brought him into it, he would do it the same way, the same comedical stuff, but he would want to add an emotional part to Jameson, have a bit of a backstory.
That is astronaut kid
Oh God, yeah.
who never gets the puss. Gets the puss stolen right out from under him by Spider-Man.
How funny that Dr. Octopus was the villain of that movie. I'm sorry. I
The
couldn't
worst
help
villain. There's no worse villain than Dr. Octopus.
Is that really?
He's not even a villain.
He can be interesting.
He is just a supervillain, and there's nothing more about him, and that's dumb.
He can be interesting.
He's a man with 4 arms. That's his story.
Right.
He's not even an octopus. He's Dr. Squid.
Well, I guess they count as legs.
Shut up. No.
Whatever.
Don't give me that bullshit. Count his legs as arms.
Whatever. But and I do like we do see a little more of like. By the way, I gotta mention the scene that I really like. The scene where Peter just lays down and starts listening to his headphones because Gwen tells him
becomes
that-
a music
because
video.
Gwen tells him that that she's leaving to England because she
Yeah.
she's in
And he
the
starts
running for
piecing
an
together
Oxford
evidence,
thing.
but then,
Yeah.
like, in the middle of it, there's a picture of Gwen, and he's like, why do I have to lose you too?
Yeah. Oh God, I love that because the song that's playing is
You know what? That
is
hits
Gone,
me.
Gone,
That
Gone.
hits me right in the heart because, like, that's the same thinking I have constantly.
Yeah. I feel you because I'm in a
You've only dated 1 girl. I've dated 8, and I've loved 2.
that's not a good
The
sign.
sad life of Jacob.
But I gotta say, I have a
very
really
max life.
emotionally connected to that, and I loved the fact that the music that they chose for that scene was perfect, and the fact that they ended it on Peter looking at a picture of Gwen with the note, "Do I have to lose you too?"
Yeah.
And the music says, "I'll love you long after you're gone, gone, gone."
Guess what? He loses her too.
That sums up everything because, okay, I don't know. Have you ever read the Spider-Man story, Spider-Man Blue?
No. You ever read
It's a
Spider-Man
story
Rain?
Yes. But,
My favorite
hold on.
Spider-Man
But
story.
Spider-Man Blue was a story that took place years and years after he was married to Mary Jane, and it's on Valentine's Day. And
Does he sit in the graveyard for seasons?
No, he sits down and he records a voice message to Gwen.
Oh, that's sad.
And the ending of it,
That's sad.
Mary Jane walks in on him, and he gets scared because he thinks that she's going to be upset because he legitimately just
Honestly,
said that he loved her still. And
if I was Mary
no,
Jane
but-
in that
but-
case, I wouldn't
but-
be upset.
But Mary Jane looks at her and says, "Tell Gwen I said hi," and then walks away.
I
and just
wouldn't be
lets him.
upset either. I wouldn't, because he can't.
She died, and it was his fault. Of course he's upset.
He murdered his
He's-
ex-girlfriend.
Of
Like,
course he still loves her.
you feel bad. You hug him. You love him. You sit down next to him and you say, "I'm gonna record this with you. I'm gonna do this with you." You honor the dead.
And you know, I would love to see something like that later down the line in the movies. Maybe. I guess we'll see. Who knows?
I hope in the next movie there isn't a flashback to that scene, because that scene was
God.
fucking grim.
Like
I knew it was gonna be sad, but I didn't think it was gonna be so fucking blunt.
Yeah. Oh.
Blunt right to the back of her skull.
We'll talk about that later, God. I already feel the tears coming. I'm gonna cry when we talk about it.
Good. I am too.
Okay, let's talk about the thing about Harry's illness.
He's dying.
And that, yes, he's dying.
He's becoming
the
a
same
lizard.
Genetic disease that his father had. And he talks to Peter. He brings Peter in and says, "Look, you take a photo of Spider-Man. You need to find him. His blood could cure me.
I need
He's
pictures
the
of
only
Spider-Man's asshole."
He's the only successful cross species. Maybe his blood can cure me." And Peter's like, "Well, dude, we don't know what's gonna happen. Maybe it could kill you. Maybe it could freaking turn you into a Green Goblin. Who knows?"
Guess what?
He doesn't say that. That'd be so stupid if he did.
It's like, hey man, maybe it'll turn you into a weirdo who flies around in a glider.
It's a stupid name drop, like in the Incredible Hulk, where freaking Dr. Stearns turns to him and says, "It would make you an abomination." I'm like, that's stupid.
It would make you a red She-Hulk.
But now I have to Superman 4: The Quest for Peace.
That stupid Family Guy joke.
I love that.
I love it when movies say their title. To save the day, I have to be Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. I think that might have actually been
Why
in
was that the
Superman
only
4.
Superman movie that had a subtitle?
I don't.
Why?
Because it was the dumbest. People had to know.
Exactly. But
Wasn't that movie basically about Superman steals nukes and throws them in the ocean?
Yeah, no, the sun.
The sun.
Even better.
Nuke the sun.
I could blow up the sun for all he knows.
Yeah. Throws a nuke in, the sun's gone, he's like, well, fuck.
Well, my power's gone.
Bye.
Everyone else
Floats around in
died.
space for the rest of his life.
But I gotta say, the scene where Spider-Man comes in to see Harry to talk about like giving him his blood and everything, and he
That was a really
refuses to-
dumb scene, because he's like...
What do you mean?
He repelled down into a chair. What if the chair wasn't there and he was expecting it to be there? He just fell on his ass.
Well, he was in there before he could see it.
He was watching him sleep.
But I do like the way Harry reacted. Like, when he flips the fucking table over
He's
and
like,
just
"Yo."
face plants into the couch and, like, sobs.
He basically says, fuck you, Spider-Man.
Basically, like, you're a fraud, Spider-Man. Like, you're supposed to give people hope. How could you take that away from me?
Instead, I gave you faith, and then he throws him a copy of The Mirror's Edge.
Oh, Lord. But I do like the scene that was before that with where Aunt May sees all the stuff that Peter had about his father hanging up on his wall.
Yeah.
And
She flips her shit.
She says, "You're my boy. I don't want you to be like thinking
my
about this
boy."
false sense of great
But
parents
that's
out there."
fucked up.
Because I feel for Aunt May because she should feel that way because she raised him.
she raised him, but, you know, it's not like forget about your dead dad, son.
No, she's not like that. She's upset because she doesn't want him dreaming of a life with other parents, with better parents. Because as far as she's concerned,
He wouldn't have been a better parent. I know
she's
that
his
right now.
She's his mother in her eyes, and you know what? She is. She took care of him. Him and Uncle Ben, they were mom and dad, just the same way my grandparents are mom and dad to me.
I never had that kind of relationship with my grandparents.
Well, it's because I live with my grandparents.
I only have
and
one
I've always
alive.
lived with them, so
I have a weird thought about Uncle Ben and Aunt May.
Yes.
Because I have the opposite scenario.
what do you mean?
I mean, my grandmother's dead, my granddad's alive. And, no, my grandmother was not shot by
saying
a
that-
mugger that I let walk.
Okay.
But,
I was about to ask, are you like the reverse Spider-Man or something?
I'm Bizarro Spider-Man.
You wear like a backwards spider. But wait a minute, that wouldn't be backwards. It'd be this exact
It'd be
same
the
fucking
exact same
logo.
way. Like upside down spider.
Upside down spider.
But, I don't know how I feel about that. 'Cause my parents are alive. Unlike
Well-
everybody else's parents, apparently.
My parents are too, but I never met my dad, so.
Your dad was Richard Parker.
That's why he ran away. To protect me from Norman Osborn.
Yes.
I'm Spider-Man, Jacob. I think I'm Spider-Man. I'm kidding.
If you were, I think you would misuse your powers.
I'm just...
It'd be like using your webs to draw dicks on buildings. Because I would. You're a lot like me.
That's, you know what? That's exactly what I would do.
Because we're both the same.
I would just swing around. I just have fun.
I found it dumb when he web swinged into Gwen.
Oh yeah, when he's down the street, he just plummets into the fucking building.
That was dumb.
Because he sees her and he's like, I'm gonna go for it. It just, there's no way for him to stop.
Like,
It's momentum, he just ran
he
into the
couldn't have at
fucking building.
least been wearing the Bagman outfit.
Oh god.
Like, you don't have to be.
Well, no, he swung in the first movie and no one fucking saw him when he was.
There
without
were
his mask.
several scenes. He swung in the third movie too. In the third movie, he had a whole fight scene where he wasn't in the scene.
Yeah, and no one saw it.
Nobody noticed.
Nope.
They were all too busy jerking off, apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
They were too busy kicking
Well,
Max.
Jacob, think about what you do on your.
Yeah, I jerk off in the middle of New York.
Okay,
That's what
but,
I do. Well, there's
the whole
fight
thing about-
scenes.
Okay, moving on. I do really understand where Aunt May is coming from with it, but she tells him what happened with Peter's parents, and it says that 2 government men came with them and basically told Aunt May that Richard went to betray his country to sell his secrets, and that's very reminiscent of what happened in the normal universe, because in that. They said, they're like, oh, they actually were Hydra agents working for the Red Skull. And they were like, well, that's not
I'm
true.
sick of Hydra.
Turned out they were S.H.I.E.L.D. agents in the comic books.
I want the
Traditional.
Punisher to bust in and shoot Hydra in the
So this
face. All of them.
So this is a combination of the normal Marvel Universe and the Ultimate Universe versions of their deaths.
That whole thought of like that one guy in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. who might be the Punisher but is also Hydra. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Punisher would ever
Ward.
be Hydra.
He's not Hydra. He's not Hydra. He's loyal to this one dude who saved his life when he was young, who helped him, because he was forced to.
But
beat
the
up his
Punisher is
brother
loyal
and
to
stuff.
nobody. He's loyal to the popsicle
Well, maybe
god.
he becomes the. Well, whatever. We're not talking about that show. It's a different thing.
I still haven't seen it because it's not on Netflix.
Not yet.
It better be.
But the whole montage thing about everything was great. And
Everything is awesome. Everything is great when you're Spider-Man.
yes, it did. Well, no, obviously not.
Yeah, your girlfriend's always breaking her neck on you.
Shut up.
Jamie Foxx is attacking you with electricity powers.
Right. Okay, I want to ask how you feel about like I really like Electro's speech. He's in Ravencroft and Dr. Kafka is like trying to test his power and everything. He goes like, I can feel it in the walls. I can feel it.
What
in
he
my
actually
veins,"
did was
you know, the
was kind of
electricity.
bishy.
What do you mean?
He basically like wussy slaps the doctor in the face with electricity.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, I wish it would have just been like a beam of death that just
Well,
took the doctor out.
Well, the way he murders him later on, I think, is good.
He drowns him.
He
basically.
drowns him in the same freaking device they put him in. That's well deserved because
Still confusing as to why he didn't drown, but okay.
well, he's an electric man. Maybe he doesn't need to breathe. I
He's an
don't,
electric man, so why can you submerge him in water without him exploding?
I don't know. It's a movie. Just
Fuck you.
whatever.
By the way, that plane thing doesn't work. Do you remember in the Robert Richard Parker scene in the plane when they shoot the window? Mm-hmm. That doesn't work. If you shoot a window while a plane is in the air, it doesn't actually turn into a vacuum.
Well, no, because they were plummeting.
Okay, maybe that would have caused something.
Right.
But that also would have caused 0G.
Exactly. So maybe it did. Because well, you see, they were kind of like on the freaking
They were on
side
the
of
wall,
plane.
but they weren't like floating.
Well, not completely. It's not Inception.
I'm not a physicist. I don't fucking know. I just know that the
We
window
don't
thing
either.
doesn't
We're just
work.
guessing. But I do like everything that happened later. With that, when we find Peter, he figures out all the Roosevelt stuff. With
Figures out it was a man in a wheelchair who caused
that,
Electro.
that basically that Richard Parker's secret lab was actually a train car that was used to transport FDR to places to hide his polio from the American people.
FDR is a myth.
I liked FDR. He was a good president.
He was a good president. We weren't even alive when he was the president.
I know, but learning about him and how he fixed the economy.
I like Teddy.
Good.
Teddy was great.
Only because of the teddy bear. That I sleep with every night. I mean, what?
Sleep with a big Teddy?
I don't sleep with a teddy bear. What are you talking about?
A big, like, life-size
Putting
pillow
words
of Teddy
into-
Roosevelt.
Putting my...
You know how much
That'd
I'd
be
pay?
scary.
You know how much I'd pay for a life-size pillow of Teddy
for
Roosevelt?
an actual teddy bear.
Yeah. Like, it's a teddy bear, but it's got, like, glasses on, and it's got a little mustache.
That'd be great. I do like what happened with Harry after all that, where Felicia tells him about the Special Projects Division, and he goes searching through all these files and sees stuff with Electro, and he's like, approved by Harry Osborn. He's like, wait a minute, I didn't do this.
You know, those
Then
guys are
Mencken
really
comes in.
slow on their uptake in the security room.
Right, and Mencken comes in right away with a bunch of guards. He's like, how dare you, as your first active CEO, cover up all this stuff? He's like, wait a minute, no, you did this in my name. You
That
can't pin
reminds
this on
me
me.
of the video game, when they blame Spider-Man for not doing anything.
Right. But
How dare you not save the puppy, Harry Osborn?
so of course, so they fire him. So does that mean that Mencken is CEO of Oscorp now?
Maybe. I don't know. I lost it at that point. I lost track of that part of the story. I was trying to keep up with
Because what
Spider-Man.
we know, the whole thing he wanted was to get control of it.
Yeah.
So he fucking left. So
He
then again,
wanted to kill Spider-Man.
Did Goblin kill Mencken on his way out? I mean, if you think about it, he had the high-powered suit and everything. Did he fucking attack him and murder him?
I was expecting him to shoot him when he took the gun.
I was expecting it to happen right after he got injected with the Goblin serum that he gave him.
Yeah, like, isn't the whole, like, superhuman serum that Parker got supposed to make you super strong?
What it was supposed to do.
Well, Parker went through
because
that,
it's
stage.
It's basically the ultimate Venom thing, where it's meant to cure diseases. It goes into your body, finds what's wrong, and helps the body do whatever's necessary to help it. However, because it wasn't form-fitted to Harry's DNA, it screwed up and messed with his DNA.
I actually just realized maybe that whole stage of weakness where he was crawling on the floor looking for the suit. Didn't Peter go through that same thing shortly after he got bit?
Pretty much, like he was fucking wiped out.
Yeah.
Like he was like hallucinating.
He couldn't even
freaking
walk.
Out. And then eventually I got accustomed to his system because he had the right DNA. Because the DNA that Richard Parker
It
used in his
seemed that
spiders
Harry
was his
also-
own. So that's why he's Spider-Man.
It seemed that Harry also got used to it.
Right. Well, no.
Because when it shows him in prison, he looks kind of human again.
Well, no. I mean, think the suit that he was wearing was a healing suit. It was meant to heal soldiers in battle.
But even
So-
after he's out of it, it looks like he's, fine.
Right. Well, what I think happened is like he went through various stages where like he kept transforming and untransforming, and he even says it comes and goes.
Yeah.
So I still think he has more transforming to go.
Where's Deadpool?
And he'll come in, and the actual full-on Green Goblin will come in later. With Harry and the Spider Venom and everything, and he transforms into Goblin. That was scary.
It
Where
was.
the lights were flickering and everything, and he was
Honestly, like, the
transforming,
way
I was
that-
like, holy hell!
The way they had his shoulder blades moving, it looked almost
Yeah.
like his body was actually tearing itself apart.
Yeah. I mean, there were kids crying in this movie. I'm like, yeah.
I noticed they were crying.
see it.
I noticed like little kids, like moms were walking their kids out of the theater when Electro got free at the prison. Because Electro's fucking scary. I
Yeah.
imagine if I was 8 years old, like looking
Like
at
his
that
voice, kids were like,
and
upset
hearing
with
that, I would be flipping my shit.
Yeah, it's all freaking electronic voice. That was scary.
But it makes sense. It makes no sense when it's Bane, but it makes perfect sense when
Right.
it's Electro.
So from Harry, actually, before he becomes a Goblin stuff, he uses Electro to break out of Ravencroft and to help him with get into Oscorp and everything. And I love what he does with Mencken, where Menken's like, oh, I'm not going to tell you anything that happens, and Electro just like.
He stops his heart.
and then
restarts it.
Yeah, he restarts his heart. That's a great way.
So that Harry
of
can then walk him down to special projects at
Basically,
gunpoint.
yeah, we're gonna keep doing this over and over again until you fucking tell me what I need to know.
So, do you think Harry's going to return in the Sinister Six movie? 'Cause
Definitely.
Goblin's part of the Sinister
Definitely.
Six. I know that because he was with the lineup of all the gear.
Sometime, yes. I think I think for sure, for certain, we're having Green Goblin, Electro, and Rhino as members of the team, and I think Lizard will too. But I don't know about that.
Don't
Hold on,
bring
well-
me Lizard.
Well,
I don't want Lizard.
I have a theory. Hold
I
on,
don't want
hold
Reptile
on.
from Mortal Kombat.
I'll get to my theories about all the Sinister Six stuff later. But all the stuff with him and Electro were great, and he's like, oh, basically,
Perfect.
you can take back
They
the power
were
plant
a
thing.
buddy cop team, basically.
And I love how Electro was easily manipulated into being Harry Osborn's bitch.
That's 'cause
basically
he
by
was
saying,
nice to him.
I need you. You're my only chance
He
of
was-
surviving. I need you to get me into Oscorp, and you need me to get to your power plant.
Harry was being manipulative because he knew, like, this is how Max acted in Times Square.
Right.
Max is going to respond very well to me being nice to him for like 5 seconds.
Right, exactly. So Electro's whole thing is he wants to take control of the power plant again because he submitted specs and Smythe stole them and used them
Yeah.
in the actual...
And Nolan
life.
North created Deadpool.
Right. And all this stuff, again, with Peter and Gwen, when he's trying to talk to her while she's on her way to the Oxford thing, and he's like, I have one thing to tell you, and she's like, what is that one thing? And he won't say it. And then later on, when he finally comes back and learns that
He
she's on her
fucking
way...
Charlotte's Webs his way
she
into her
learns that
heart.
she's on her way to freaking England. He goes onto the bridge. By the way, that's a subtle nod to where she died in the comics. She died on the bridge. And
That's sad.
he writes, I love you in webbing.
I turned to
Which is
Anthony, I went,
great.
what if it wasn't Spider-Man? What if it's just a giant spider? And he goes, Charlotte's Web.
And then that was great. And they talk, and I love the way Peter's like, "You're wrong. We're not on separate paths. You're my path. Wherever you go, I will follow." And yet you can
that's the
clearly
thing
see
that I
that
heard-
even later in the movie, how he still follows her even after.
That's
what
another thing that I
happens.
heard from the creatures that they didn't like, and I didn't like it much either. That this was kind of half a romantic comedy.
Well, I liked it because Spider-Man is all about relationships.
He is.
His characters, and
He's
they did
kinda
it
like-
remarkably well.
he's
And
kinda
fact
like the
that he was
Doctor in
willing
that
to
way.
sacrifice everything just to be with her shows how much he really cares about her. So it makes her ultimate death even more powerful.
Spider-Man, he's kind of like the Doctor in that way, where he needs someone. It doesn't matter who, he just needs someone who can be there to
Right.
kind of round him out.
Exactly. Like
You know.
like what Goblin says later, she makes your choices clear. She's your hope.
Yeah, she's your rock.
Well,
That's such an old and dumb thing.
it's true.
The term "I'm your
Then
rock."
we get this really cool thing, the power plant battle. How cool was it when Electro projected himself onto the building with all the lights to make it
That
look
was
like
pretty
him?
great. I was honestly when he was taking over the power grid and it started showing his face on all those screens at the like, security place.
Yeah.
I started thinking about Man of Steel.
Right.
You are not alone.
And I liked the scene where Spider-Man was following the bursts of electricity through the city.
Yeah.
That looked visually great.
I
And the
loved when
fact
he
that-
was making the itsy bitsy spider with the pylons.
where he was hitting all the electrical things while whacking Spider-Man. It was making the itsy bitsy spider sound.
I didn't notice it at first, but then I actually started listening, and it's like, yeah, that's a fucking itsy bitsy spider.
That was great. That is what he would do. Come on, he's showing off.
That's what
he's
anybody
doing.
would do.
But then Gwen shows up after. Oh, by the way, she helps him magnetize his web shooters so he can't conduct electricity
Yeah.
through it. So that's a very clever thing, and they are. It's clear that they're attracted.
And then
to
he
each other 'cause
webs
they're
her
both
to a
really
hood of a
smart.
car, and guess what? It didn't work.
She had a pocket knife.
She had a pocket knife.
Well, being the daughter of a police captain,
Just to
you would
show
think
you,
that she would
if
have
you're
a knife
friends with
with her all the time.
Spider-Man, always carry a pocket knife.
Exactly.
In case he tries to web you to things.
That can be taken.
But then
wrong.
again, they only last. His webs only last for like an hour, so
right?
why not just
They
wait an hour?
disintegrate. Well, you don't have an hour for that.
I remember when I was watching
gotta
like
stop Electro.
Spider-Man the animated series, and he goes to that little kid's house and makes the web swing.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Don't worry, it's gonna last like an hour."
Yeah. So my web deteriorates, kind of thing. It's like, oh, that's why no one can find your webbing. I was like, yeah, sure.
His webbing's all over the place. You just need to use like a UV light to find his semen spots
Oh,
all
dear
over the
Lord.
city.
But I love how Gwen shows up and is like, I know how to, since I work at Oscorp, of course, I know how to deactivate all the stuff. I can help you, kind of thing. And Peter freaks out. I was like, why are you here? You can't be here. And she's like, and she said,
And guess what? He's right.
he is right. And she says, no, this is my choice. No one else makes my choices here. I choose to be with
It's your
you.
choice to fucking
help you."
die.
And I love how when Gwen goes up to there and he looks over, and for the final time we see Captain Stacy looking at him again. And just the way
It's because he knows.
he knows.
He knows that shit's gonna go down. He's like, Captain
Right.
Stacy's looking at him. He's like, Peter, she's wearing the exact same thing she wore in the comics.
He's holding up the issue.
He's holding
Have you
up.
not read this.
He's holding up the exact like panel where he's holding her corpse.
He's like, Peter, this isn't gonna
This
end
isn't
bad.
good.
It's not. No,
I know what's coming, Peter.
coming.
I've read the comics.
I read it.
They have the
them all in
comics.
heaven.
They have them in hell. You know Stacy's going to hell.
No, he was good.
He borrowed Herschel's shotgun.
His infinite ammo shot.
Yeah.
Walking Dead. Right.
I remember that. He was just spraying a shotgun in the first movie.
But I do like the way that they defeated Electro. How clever it was. That
Overload a battery and it
overloaded him,
explodes.
just like what happened with him trying to recharge his web shooters before.
But guess what? According to Jamie Foxx, Electro doesn't die.
no, because he just got spread out. Electricity cannot be destroyed; it simply moves elsewhere.
What if I burned it?
That's what can't burn.
I tried. Like you cut a cord and then you light the sparks on fire. Even though they're already fire.
Well, I still think that he will show up again later.
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure he's too good of a character.
In
an actor to
Django.
waste.
Django 2, the Electro Chronicles.
I like the way you fry, boy.
Hey, it rhymes
People used
too.
to say that all the time when he was cast as Electro. They're like, oh yeah, they're gonna use that.
Like the way you fry, boy.
Yeah, because he fries them with electricity.
You know what that's from? Do you ever see Django?
It's like I like the way you.
But do you
die.
know why he said it? Because he came across a guy who tortured him when he was a slave. Or no, tortured his wife when he was a slave.
Yeah.
And Django got on his knees and started begging. He's like, I like the way you beg, boy. And then Django, when he met him later and was armed with several weapons,
I like the
said,
way
"I like the way you die, boy," and shot him in the chest.
that was. Then afterwards, we get the goblin. That fucking laugh.
Oh, that laugh!
That laugh.
That laugh that was coming from the audience.
It's yeah. You told me that you thought it was an audience member just laughing.
Like I
at the
turned
movie.
around, and I was like, "Who the fuck is
It's
that?"
like, why the fuck are you laughing? That wasn't funny. It was like, oh wait, goblin.
I was laughing when Electro shot the electricity out of his mouth.
That was weird. I will admit.
I'm gonna fire in my laser.
Ah! It just shoots it out. Well,
We got like 20 seconds. I'm gonna wait till this is over. So keep talking. Actually, no, I'm gonna stop it now.
okay.
And we're back. with
Okay, we're back
Batman.
again. More Spider-Man stuff. The Goblin.
The Goblin.
I really like the mannerisms of it, and the way that they're subtly referencing the way his classic comic book look. The way that he has hair like slicked back and then up at the point
What?
was supposed to be like he even said in interviews that it was a reference to the purple cap that Goblin wore, how it would like slick back and go up.
Why would you-
It still looked weird.
Why not just give him the purple cap and the green skin?
Because they're doing it later. Keep in
He's
mind,
not even the Green Goblin.
it's prototype Goblin.
He's the pale Goblin.
You're right. But I do really like the way when he shows up and just sort of like the way he smiles and just starts looking back and forth between Spider-Man and Gwen. And he's like,
It's
oh,
weird.
I see. You're Peter. When Spider-Man said no, it was really you. You betrayed me. You're supposed to be my best friend. You
Spider-Man is my enemy.
You gave the people of the city hope, and then you took it away. Now I'm taking away yours.
that's kinda
and he
how-
grabs Gwen, and that was so intense.
That's kind of how every superhero is. Like, you're there, you save the day. Great, you save the day. But what happens when the Joker breaks out of prison again and 17 people die? What are you gonna do then?
Don't you mean 17,000?
Yeah.
Exactly.
What are you gonna do when he breaks out of prison and liquefies the city's water supply?
What?
I mean, gelatin.
Wait,
I mean-
liquefies. It's already liquid.
In the 60s Batman, he had a plot where he was gonna turn the city's water supply into gelatin.
That'd be good. I wouldn't mind that. Just
Well,
turn
when
on a
you think
faucet
about
and
it,
Jello comes
Like,
out.
that's
That'd
the
be
worst
awesome.
thing you can do. Because, like, the American dream is to not be inconvenienced. And that would inconvenience everyone. So, like, that's the worst thing he could possibly do.
So 60s Joker is officially the evilest Joker ever put to
Just
screen.
like Jack Nicholson.
Okay. What do you think about the Clock Tower battle with him and Goblin?
Wasn't much of a battle.
Right.
It was more like a cuddle puddle.
Right. Well, you know, of course, the grand big
I started
Spidey
to,
versus
like-
Goblin fight is coming later.
That movie, or that scene, like, I started to feel it when his foot was getting crushed by the gear. Mm-hmm. But then,
hold on. I want to bring this up. Time has been the big theme of this movie. The movie opens up on a ticking time watch.
it's a lot of time.
Richard Parker says he wished he had more time. Harry Osborn is running out of time,
They need a TARDIS.
and the whole final battle is at a clock tower. How fitting is that?
That's fair.
And the fact that Spider-Man, he's literally grabbing onto Gwen with the web, holding her, and jamming his foot and Goblin into the freaking gears
Yeah.
to try to stop time, to try to stop the inevitable from happening.
You know what? That's actually what it
And
felt
he,
like.
and he can't do that because no matter what, those who were close to you were gonna suffer.
It felt
if you're a
kind of
superhero.
like Spider-Man knew it was coming, and he was trying to
It's
stop
happening,
it.
and he wanted to stop the inevitable, but you can't just do that.
I'm
You
gonna do
cannot
another
that.
Doctor Who thing. It's just like when the 10th Doctor, he heard his death was coming. He was told, you know, someday you're gonna die real soon.
He knew.
He knew, and
But
he
when
was gonna
got
try
that
to
point,
stop
He
it.
wanted to stop it.
He heard that, like, somebody was gonna knock 4 times, and that would be the mark that he was gonna die that day. So when something started knocking on a door, it knocked 3 times, and he said, "You're not getting the 4th one," and then he murdered it.
Whoa. Damn. But
Like, he
I
was
gotta
trying
say,
to avoid his death, just like Spider-Man was trying to avoid what he knew was coming, which was Gwen Stacy's death.
Exactly, because even if you try, you cannot stop time.
It's gonna
You
happen.
can't- everything that is meant to happen will happen. There's no doubt about it. So when she started falling again, and it went all slow motion, and he jumped down for her, and I gotta say, I know you felt it was a little lame, that the web was like
It had a
almost
little
like
fucking hand on it.
But well, you see, I liked it because it was.
It's supposed
it was
to be
like
him reaching out.
Peter's literally reaching out to try to save her.
He's controlling the web with his mind and reaching out as hard as he can, Hold up your hands and give Spider-Man your powers.
See, it didn't look lame because it still like looks like the end of what his
It
web
looked
normally
dumb.
does.
It didn't
but
look
it did
lame.
look sort of like a hand, I guess.
It was a hand.
But the way when
shoots hands at
when
people.
it finally connected with her in the ground and her head smashed into the ground, that sound effect.
It wasn't. She didn't only break her neck here. She broke her neck and caved in the back of her skull.
That was a brain injury.
That was.
That was a fucking brain injury.
She was bleeding out of her nose.
And-
that doesn't happen. When you break your neck, you don't bleed out of your nose.
And I gotta say that moment where Peter was like, "Oh, thank God, I caught her. This is gonna be okay." And he jumps down to see her. He rips his
And
mask
she's not
off, and
breathing.
he looks at her. Just might I say, Andrew Garfield.
Very good in this scene.
Yes.
Not so great in everything else when there's actually feeling, but in this scene, he
think
felt
so?
like he was gonna accept death
I
at
thought
that point.
I thought he did really well in the other movies.
Honestly,
because I mean, if you just look at his eyes when he's staring at the video of his father earlier. That
I
was
don't
great.
like when heroes show. I don't like when heroes cry. What I like to see is I like to see the hero look down at like somebody he cares about dead, and then just stand up with no emotion and immediately go after the villain as hard as he can. That's what I like to see from a hero. I like to see them break down and stop being what they are.
Okay, keep in mind, Peter, he's
And that's what Wade's
a
gonna be.
teenager. He just graduated high school.
He's got the hormones swirling all around him.
Jacob, okay. You think of the situation. You and me, if we watched a
Someone
girl
would-
that we loved die
And if it was
in front of
technically our
us,
fault,
we would fucking break down crying.
I wouldn't cry.
I would react the exact same way that
I
you
would
did
immediately go after the person I felt was the reason.
to yourself.
No, Goblin. I would go after Goblin.
I would blame myself.
I would murder Goblin. Like, I would have, like, stood up,
Well, see, that's why
And hung him.
Spider-Man's better. than
hung him
Goblin.
from the towers.
Okay, I actually want to... Do you feel that Gwen's death was executed well?
Yes.
I do.
Because it made me feel like, holy shit. Like,
I'm gonna say right now, I cried in theaters both times I saw this movie, and I saw it coming. I knew it was gonna happen.
like, if it was a different character's death and they died that way, I wouldn't much care. But it was the addition of this really grim, really, like, horrible, realistic death.
The fact that it was Gwen, the fact that
Plus
it was
this character
Peter's
that you
fault,
care about.
and the fact that beforehand, they finally, after all
Like-
the ups and downs, the freaking roller coasters of a relationship, they got together and finally went, okay, we're gonna buckle down, and this is what's happening. I'm staying with you. You're my path. I will follow you till the end of the.
And then
time."
she dies.
And you feel for him
You
so
feel
much.
it.
And
You
like
feel it.
the graves when he's at the grave and everyone leaves and he's still there. And it just goes by all the
You
seasons.
see the seasons.
The seasons and he's still there. Remember what he
see the
said?
flowers growing
You're my
on him."
path. I will not leave your side. And he even in death he won't leave her.
And that entire time, I was imagining that thing from the comics where he put his suit in a suitcase and then threw it off a bridge. Mm-hmm. Like, I imagine, like, this is when Spider-Man quits. This is the time.
And he did.
He did.
Fucking did. Every
totally
day,
did.
You get the feeling that he came there every fucking day and just went.
Just gave up.
Just he's there because that's as close as he
Like-
can get. Because he said before when he's watching her from afar
I feel like,
that he'll take as close as he can get, and now this is as close as he can get because she's dead and it's all his fault.
you feel
So he's-
kind of like
wants to
he
be as
would
close to her.
accept death at that point.
He would never want it to happen to him. He would never do it purposefully.
He would never, like, kill himself, but I feel like he would accept death
Like
at that point.
if someone just came up and said yes, I'm gonna kill you, he'd be like fucking do it. I get to be with Gwen. I get to be with my
Kinda
parents.
like
I get to be with
Batman.
Uncle Ben. That's my happy ending.
Kind of like Batman in The Dark Knight Returns when those, what are they called, muties or whatever, come up to him with the knives, and they're like, we're gonna stick you, and he's like, do it.
Just do
He's
it.
just standing there,
You know,
do it.
I have nothing to live for. Just fucking do it. And then they're like, oh fuck this.
They're like, we
I'm
can't do it if he's into it. Like,
But the way Gwen, I love Emma Stone. The way she acted in this.
she was great. Emma Stone was probably the best part of both these movies.
Mm-hmm.
And to have her die in such a grim way.
This is gonna go on throughout all the movies. The emotional
gonna
way you're gonna
happen.
feel it throughout every.
You're gonna be
single
watching the third movie, you're gonna be like, well, fuck, where's Gwen? Like, there's this empty spot, and you know it's there. You're gonna know it's there.
See, because this is why this movie's so smart. Because you feel the loss in your heart as well as Peter does.
It's
Because when you're gonna watch the next
because they
movies,
wrote
you're
her
gonna
character
feel-
well. Her character
Exactly.
wasn't like just
It was
random girl
great.
character. It
No.
was Gwen.
It wasn't random Mary Jane boob lady who you love.
It wasn't Kirsten Dunst with a capital D. It was
Because let's face it, Peter was in love with Mary Jane in the first Spider-Man movie simply because she was the only girl he ever fucking knew.
Yeah.
Because
he didn't know
boobs,
Gwen
I want.
Stacy.
There you go.
He didn't know Gwen Stacy in that storyline, and it's the same thing like when he meets her in the comics, when he gets with Mary Jane, it's because Mary Jane's the only other option. Mm-hmm. It's not because he loves her.
Not at first.
Not at first.
Of course,
but then he kills her with his radioactive semen.
That was in an alternate universe. And it was a weird part.
I know, but I want that so hard to be the actual universe.
You know?
Does he do what?
Afterwards, he quits his job at the Daily Bugle and becomes a florist. And you know, here's the funny part. J. Jonah Jameson's still fucking alive. And then at the end, he sends him a paper bag with Spider-Man's mask and says, I know who you are. You're the only one who can help the city. For years, I knew it was you. But I just kept giving you crap because that's all I knew how to do. And I'm like, that's fucking Jameson. I'm like,
crap.
He of course he fucking knows it. And you know what? I'm gonna bring up another point. Sally Field as Aunt May was great. She knows he's Spider-Man.
She knows.
She knows. From the ending of the first movie, where he comes home after the big lizard battle,
the fact that she doesn't pursue the whole "you got everything red and blue last time" thing, she knows.
And the way that she says in this movie, everyone has secrets that they keep, even from the people they love. Her eyes says it all. She knows. And even when she tries comforting him after Gwen's death, she's like, "Oh well, I just put all of Uncle Ben's things in a box and
we're gonna burn them in the yard."
No, stop. She locks them away, so the more that the box gets filled, the lighter her heart feels, and so sort of she's trying to.
So is that like trying to tell him, get rid of all your girlfriend's shit?
Basically, no.
Just put it somewhere else.
Put it somewhere else.
Or you
be
won't
Spider-Man
see it
again, because the fucking Rhino's going on a rampage. The world needs you.
So the question is, why wasn't that on every channel if the Rhino was smashing cars?
It was. It was. They were watching it on the news.
I didn't remember. I didn't see that. I just saw like it would cut to the Rhino smashing shit, and then back to Garfield crying.
Right. And also, by the way, we finally get to find out who Michael Massey's character is, the man in the shadows from the first movie. He's Gustav Fiers, aka the Gentleman. From the comic books.
I don't know who that is.
He was a businessman who was
I know it's the dude with the top hat.
Yes.
But I don't know who that is other than that.
He was responsible for bringing together the Sinister Six.
Is it the neighborhood watch guy?
No, he doesn't have any superpowers.
Nightshade.
He was responsible in the comic books. He was the one who gave the order to kill Richard and Mary Parker. And he's formed the Sinister Six.
He probably also did it in the movies. Because we don't know. We didn't see who gave the order.
Right. No. Not at all.
Does he ever show his face?
No, we don't see. Well, in the comics, yes. But
is he like the elusive man?
He's sort of like what Norman Osborn was early on in the comics. Because, I mean, if you think about it, Norman Osborn, before it was revealed that it was Osborn who was the Goblin,
when you're somebody like Osborn,
and hat always hid who you were.
Especially if you're dying. If you're somebody like Osborn, you're not going to show that to the public. You're going to, like, hide in your room and send out press releases. You're not going to sit there and, like, go up on stage.
Again,
You're like, hey, guess what? Cancer.
Right. And I gotta say, I love the ending of the movie, where he finally gets to see Gwen's valedictorian speech. And she's basically...
And he's crying the entire time.
Yeah, she just tells him, almost as if she's consciously aware
Gwen's
that she's talking directly to him. Find hope, and hold on to that. Because... inspire hope and you need to inspire
that speech was
hope.
kind of weird because she basically said, "I'm gonna die later today. Nobody
Not
cared."
today, obviously, because I know it seems like it happens relatively soon, but it actually happens in a matter of months.
It happens, yeah. I know he like kind of takes a break in between, and that's not much shown. But like,
because he goes off and still does
her
Spider-Man
speech
stuff.
was really pretty,
right, like
on the nose. It was like life ends sometimes.
That's why it's
my life is ending soon. It's like she's holding up a giant sign that says "dead soon."
Well, be that as it may, I thought it was appropriate, and the fact when he finally throws everything in the box, and he still leaves the one picture of him and her together on his desk, and he puts it all away in the closet, and then he looks at the Spider-Man.
Do you remember the one on his phone?
Yeah,
where he's making the dumb face and she's kissing his cheek. The one that everybody has with their girlfriend.
Yeah, everyone has the weird photos.
I had a few of those.
I have a photo where I have a photo where I'm kissing a girl on the cheek and she's sort of making this weird laughing face.
That's because nobody ever wants to kiss you, Joey. That was too close.
Okay,
even for me. We
got really close. We got like Peter and Gwen levels of close there.
No, don't say that about the two of us. Which one's Peter? I'm Peter.
Don't kill
Wait,
me.
you're not pretty enough.
Okay, fine. All right.
You're pretty enough.
The ending of the movie, I find it was cute how the little kid who Spider-Man helps out in the first place goes out and stands up to Rhino wearing
That'd be
the
really
Spider-Man
funny if the
costume.
kid just like turned into the Hulk and smashed the Rhino.
Right. But I like that because also hope is another big thing in this movie. of
Yeah.
course. And Spider-Man.
And who the
inspires
fuck
hope.
threw him a megaphone?
Well, whatever. The cop. We see the cop throw a megaphone.
All the cops put down their guns. They're like, "Hey, Spidey, here's a megaphone."
Here, you can handle this.
That's the thing. That's the one.
Cops are so incompetent now because
They're
now that
terrible
they know that
police.
superheroes are out there, they're not going to do.
I think
their
that's
job.
realistic.
Right.
To be honest, but like the police are so shit in this movie.
Well, I mean, think about it.
They're shit tier.
In real life, if some dude in spider
And
powers
yet-
comes around and starts taking care of criminals, you're gonna fucking take a break.
They're like the police are like they're total shit tier. But in the very first scene with the car chase, every cop in the city is on their ass. It was a lot of cop cars.
Exactly. But I find it cute how the kid like steps up to the Rhino, and then all of a sudden you hear off screen he's like, "Hey, Spider-Man," and then it's actual Spider-Man, and he's telling the kid, he's like, "You know, you're super brave for going out there and doing like these things.
Hey,
you know,
Calendar Man.
I'm back for good now. Thanks for stepping up for me." And he goes up there and tells off the Rhino and everything. And I love.
And then there's a fight that we don't see.
I love the last line of the movie. He says, "It's good to be home," and he goes off and he swings the manhole cover at Rhino.
The thing that was in the trailers.
Yeah.
Guess what? That entire scene
Well,
was in the trailers.
right.
If you're expecting more Rhino, don't.
Oh, true. But then again, it's a setup. So I mean, yes, I would like to have seen more, but it doesn't upset me because I know we are going to see more.
Are we gonna see the Shocker? I still haven't seen the Shocker in the movie either.
No, that'd be interesting. I'd like to see him.
The Shocker, Mysterio, and Punisher. That's what I want in the Spider-Man movie. In the next
well,
one.
see, I don't know if Punisher's possibility because then again, the rights issues is a whole weird thing.
He is a Spider-Man character. He's invented by Stan Lee. At this point, I expect Stan Lee.
I don't think it was Stan Lee who invented him because Stan left right before Gwen was killed off in
maybe.
the comics.
And well, the difference between the issues is 8.
Right.
It's 121 is when Gwen dies, and then 129 is when the Punisher.
Oh, by the
shows
way,
up.
I want to bring up something to the audience. The clock tower strikes 121 when Gwen dies, and that's the issue
it's
number
weird.
where she dies. In the
If you
comics.
just showed me like the number, if you just told me the number of what comic Gwen dies, I wouldn't remember it. But it's for the same reason that I remember the number of comic that the Punisher first appears in, because it's in the game. In the game, a car almost hits Frank Castle, and when he looks at the license plate, it says ASM 129.
Yeah, so Amazing
That's how I
Spider-Man,
remember it so
yeah.
well. And in this, you pointed out to me the clock number, and now I'm gonna forever remember that.
Yeah.
Just like the Punisher thing.
Exactly. See, there you go.
Subliminal messaging is how you
Exactly,
make people
right.
remember things.
And there were a lot of Easter eggs in this movie. We
Yeah.
see the Vulture's wings. Doc
Basically
Ock's
all of the
tentacles.
Sinister Six
we
gear.
We see a ton of Venom foreshadowing
That
in this
too.
all the time.
But that was in the first movie. There were a lot of like
Yeah.
blackboards and things that just said Venom.
Yeah, yeah. Again, because they're building up to that point. I want to ask you. I'm going to reveal something. Apparently, there were 2 cuts of this movie.
Oh, God.
One had an alternate Gwen death.
Oh God!
Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna.
Do I want to know?
Apparently, in the first cut that they showed the press before people got to the movie, Gwen died very differently. Apparently, during the fight, Goblin manages to subdue Spider-Man, flies over to Gwen, and snaps her neck in front of him. And then Peter...
But that's still not as grim.
And then apparently Peter then goes on to crush Goblin into all the fucking gears.
That's honestly what I expected after. 'Cause that's what I want to see from a hero. I don't want to see Crybaby. I want to see huge badass.
Well, but see, he doesn't blame Goblin. He blames himself. That's the Spider-Man way.
Yeah.
Because he sees...
And-
he wants to take responsibility.
With the way that Gwen actually died, it was actually his fault.
Exactly. And I like that they did it the way they did it because that's how it was in the comics. That
And-
I would have been upset.
Well, that
if they
gives
did
it
it
so
the other
much
way.
more weight. If
Yeah.
if Goblin just snapped her neck, I would be like, well, fuck Goblin. But since it was technically Spider-Man who killed her, you feel it so much more. Because
He wanted to be with her so bad.
the good guy just did something stupid.
It's... Oh, man. It's
Realistic
so-
too, because guess what? Good guys don't always win in real life.
Exactly. There you go. There you go. I love that. Part
Actually,
because this is already,
more often than not, the bad guys win. So
I mean, think of freaking corporations. All the corporations out there.
They're bad
That's
guys.
why I love how Oscorp.
so
is
Spider-Man
the
needs to
big
burn
center
down
for-
McDonald's. Is what you're saying to me?
Hell no. I'm hungry.
I like that. That's your reason. It's not like people might be trapped inside. No, I'm hungry.
Exactly. I want my McDouble.
You fat ass. Then again, I'm the same way.
No, I swear, I'm gonna wind up being fatter than you one day.
You're gonna be the blob.
I'm gonna be the blob.
I'm gonna walk up to you and say, "Hey, bub."
Did you just call me blob?
I want to
That
see more
fucking
Marvel
movie.
characters in Spider-Man movies.
Like,
You never see them.
like non-Spider-Man related characters?
Yeah, like you don't see many Marvel characters in like other heroes movies.
Okay.
There was no Tony Stark in Thor.
Right. Well, I want to bring something up then. Sony has said that they're going to try to build a big universe around Spider-Man, which is what they've already done. And you know what? I'm glad, somewhat, because if there's one character, there's enough Spider-Man related
Honestly,
things
I think the best chance for Spider-Man, because Sony's owned Spider-Man forever, even since the first 3 movies.
Right.
I think the best chance for Spider-Man is to be brought back to Marvel.
Well,
Because Marvel does their shit very well.
right.
Evidence of all of the Avengers movies.
But you see, because I love the direction of the new series, I'm okay with Sony doing this. I'm okay with them continuing the series because I would not want the rights to revert to Marvel and then they go, oh, reboot it again, because I want to see the story continue.
I want to see the story good. I don't care if it's comic, because I don't read comics very much.
Right.
I know a lot about them.
Yeah,
But I don't read them.
I understand how you are, but
I'm not a stickler. I'm not even that way with books. I like the Hunger Games movie, even though it was a very different from the book. Because I just don't care. Because I know there's a period of translation in between
exactly.
book, movie, comic. It's just it's very different.
Because you know the same thing with these movies. Because there are some elements that I know that they change up a lot, which I'm.
It's because they have to most of the time.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you something. Were you? Because there were a lot of people who were pissed that Harry was Green Goblin before Norman. Were you? You weren't upset.
I was
with that, were you?
thinking about it. Like I was thinking back to Spider-Man 3 when Norman was the original and then Harry was the new.
Right.
But it didn't bother me because I was thinking this is a new series. This is a new director.
Right.
Throw everything else out
I
the
thought
window.
that the story definitely facilitated Harry to be Goblin.
I
Because
think
the
it
way
worked
that they
well.
were going, if it was Norman, that wouldn't make any sense.
Well, it might
It-
have.
But
he's supposed to
you
die and come
because
back
the
like
way-
Jesus,
the way that
apparently.
the way that they're they played up everything with Peter and Harry. He had to be Goblin. It had to be him
It had to
first.
be. It had to be.
But you see, what I think they're gonna do is because I am almost 100% certain that
Do you
Norman
think there's
is
going to be 2 goblins in the same movie?
not the same movie. I do think that later on down the line, it will Norman will indeed be alive because I do not think he's dead. Because remember that fucking green laser that scanned his bed? That did something.
That did something.
That was something. They're gonna bring back.
Maybe that was Mass Effect beams that was saving his life.
I don't know. Because I think Norman will be more like the big transformed ultimate Green Goblin, while Harry's gonna be more of the classic armored.
Is he like
Goblin.
a Hulk?
Sort of. Well, you saw the
weird.
Ultimate Spider-Man game. He is basically Hulk on fire.
Yeah.
With goblin horns and stuff like that.
Honestly, that whole Electro fight was very similar to in the Ultimate Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
It's
Times
even the
Square,
same
that was-
location.
yeah. But you know, if you got you know, Spider-Man's in New York. Where else are you gonna fight Electro? That's
You're
where
gonna
you
fight him
go.
in the one place where all the power goes in New
Yeah,
York,
exactly.
which is Times
That's where
Square.
you fucking go. Because that's the way to do it.
Either that or a power station, and a power
Which they did
station,
both.
which they did later.
Mhm.
There you go.
There you go. You got what you wanted.
I got what I wanted.
So
I got what I wanted out of this
can
movie.
I say so?
I've heard that a lot of people didn't get what they wanted, but you know what? Fuck you.
Okay, I want to bring up a massive point because
I know
a lot
when a
of
movie's
people
good.
Didn't like the last one either.
And I didn't at
Whereas-
first, but then I actually watched it, and I thought,
Yeah.
this is actually pretty good.
Well, because I like the direction this is going, but you know,
it's
people
going
are
in a
gonna be-
more
okay.
Spider-Man direction than the other ones. I'll
yeah,
tell you
this
that.
is more Spider-Man than what people. But you know what? I think most people are upset because they grew up on the other movies.
Well,
And
that was
because
my
They
thing.
were well, okay.
That was my thing,
I
and
did
then
too,
I-
but I was exposed to multiple media versions of Spider-Man. I saw all the different animated
I watched-
shows.
I
all
watched some of the
comic
animated
books.
series.
I knew that Spider-Man was different throughout all the different interpretations. I knew that there could be different ways to handle it, and I firmly believe that this is the definitive Spider-Man on screen. As of now,
As of now, I think later on we might get a better Spider-Man.
maybe. But
I still want to see a good Spider-Man game, God damn it.
Spider-Man 2. Just
The
play it
Amazing
over and over.
Spider-Man 3. You
Maybe,
better...
You know what? Because they're doing movie versions of every game, I think eventually we might get a Venom or Sinister Six game.
I'm perfectly okay with that.
That'd be cool. A Venom game would be badass.
I was actually thinking about this like a week ago, and I
Really?
forgot to ask you. Is the Punisher in Spider-Man friend or foe?
No, he's not.
Why not? Because
know, I'm sorry.
he is like he is the only thing that perfectly describes the title.
You know, you're right. You know what? You're right. That was the perfect opportunity. It was a video game. They could have used it.
It's kind of debatable if he's friends with Spider-Man or not.
Right. Well,
But they kind of are, but they're not, because Spider-Man doesn't like what he does, but he does the same thing, kind of.
right. That game, the title was still weird to me.
Wasn't Blade in it?
Yeah.
Why the fuck was Blade in...
Blade was in it.
Replace Blade with the Punisher so it makes more fucking sense.
Blade's design on that looked weird.
Was he,
He was wearing like an armored
Blade
vest.
isn't a Marvel character, is he?
Yeah, he is.
Is he?
Yeah, he's Marvel.
He's confusing. He's kind of like Spawn. I don't even know who owns Spawn.
I think that's Image. It's kind of like not Marvel or DC, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, you're right.
Like
you're very right.
The etc. category.
It's kind of sad how right you are. It's like if there was a Darkness movie, I don't think anybody would watch it because nobody knows what the fuck the Darkness is.
Well, you see, I would watch it simply because I know you're a fan of it, so I'd be like, okay, I'll give it a shot.
We would have a movie night with it. I know that.
Yeah, of course. But okay, so back to Spider-Man. I want to say overall thoughts of this movie really quickly before we get on to speculation on sequels and stuff.
Do we have to?
Yes, because
I think you've already gone
I have a
on to
whole, I have a big thing planned out that I have an idea for.
Okay, I'll give you the camera when we do that because I'm sick of running this thing.
Perfectly fine. So, overall opinion, you feeling of this movie? Well, what do you think?
I think it's as good as it could have been.
Mhm.
I don't think it's as good as most people wanted it. I don't think it's what most people wanted. But fuck you, that's what happens when you take a comic
Right.
series and turn it
Well-
into a movie.
Not everything's gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
Well,
At least they did Gwen Stacy's death perfect.
right.
Except
Everything
for the
they did-
location.
everything with Peter and Gwen was just amazing. It was perfect.
Perfect.
Everything that they did with Harry's backstory, the acting, Dane DeHaan, just
And, like,
Great
the
job.
creatures also complained about, there's not much Spider-Man in this movie. Is there ever much Spider-Man? I mean,
this is Peter Parker's story, guys.
this is.
This isn't Spider-Man's story.
I
And
mean-
I know that may be stupid of me to say because the title is The Amazing Spider-Man, but think of all the things that are at stake here in
What
this movie.
most
This all
people-
has to do with Peter Parker, not Spider-Man
What I
itself.
feel like most people are expecting
If that
from a
makes any
comic book
sense.
movie is just, hey, watch this comic book character go around and beat things up.
Hey, look, full-on action movie.
Guess what? That's what The Watchmen was.
I think this movie's too smart for people.
I think it is.
That's
well,
that's what I think.
that's actually what RoboCop wanted to be.
Right.
Was a movie that was too smart for people. I heard it was really dumb.
Well, I went in with pretty big expectations.
You told me to go in with an open mind,
Mhm.
and then you threatened me with a fish.
I didn't threaten you with it.
That's what happened. It's canon.
Okay, good.
Real life canon.
All right, hold on. I went in with pretty big expectations because I was excited to see all the visual stuff with Electro because I knew there was a lot they could do with that. I
It
was
looked a
excited
little
see
weird to me
Peter and
because
Gwen,
I'm
they're
used
related
to Infamous with electricity, but when I looked at Electro, he was firing straight up bolts, and then there would actually be an aftermath in the air of where he had
Yeah.
fired.
like the Electro.
And it looked really nice, but it kind of bothered me because I didn't expect that.
right. You expected the bare minimum of what they were going to do.
I expected just a lightning bolt.
Yeah.
Like, not like this exploding particles
I gotta
afterwards.
say, they went above and beyond with this movie.
They did.
With my expectations,
They definitely
They
did.
put a lot of time and thought and effort into
And
it.
money. Don't forget about the
acting
money.
Was great. The script was fantastic. The directing.
I don't
my
know
God.
about that. I
What?
liked it.
The
The
script.
script was decent, but I wouldn't call it fantastic. I would say it's something
It's
that
no
you
Inception, by all means. Of
and I.
course.
It's something
but
you and I could write, or couldn't write rather, but it's not perfect.
It's something better. It's about as good as I'd want it to be.
Yeah,
Because
that's how I
the
feel
Spider-Man
too.
movie, it's got the right amount of humor, and yet
We
it
only
makes you
got a
cry.
minute.
It makes you really feel emotionally invested.
So wrap
in
this
the
up so that we can start speculating.
Okay. Point is, good movie. I know it's a little polarizing, but you guys, go in with an open mind. Just
Or Joey will
Try-
slap you with a fish.
try to think about it from our perspective, and I really hope that our opinions have helped
But
you
nobody,
influence this.
everybody's
because-
different. They can't think from our perspective.
I know. I just wish there were more people like us out there.
There aren't.
I know.
We're the odd ones.
The
Okay.
Odd Couple.
Okay, bye.